All right. Party people in the place to be, vandals, and whatever else might be lurking out there in the darkness. This is Pink Buzz. We are back once again, and joining us this wonderful evening, we have our good friend, Horror Geek Mel. How are you doing, Mel?
I'm good. I am trying to wake up a little bit. I took a little nap today, which I'm trying to like recover. I'm in that stage right now, but I'm happy to be here. So, yeah.
And Joey, how are you doing this week, man?
Pretty good, pretty good. Coming off a long weekend, so the week following a long weekend is always a pretty smooth, easygoing thing. Only a 4-day week, which makes it awesome. Yeah, so I can't complain. We had our Thanksgiving. Canadian Thanksgiving was this past weekend, so
What do you guys
yeah.
eat? Do you guys eat turkey like we do, or do you like you guys?
Yeah, turkey. Same thing, just not the same date. That's the only difference. Yeah.
Okay.
Do the turkey and everything.
And
Usually.
maple?
Uh Not really. That's more when you do ham. You can do a maple glaze, but that's like around Easter time. I think most people do the ham more at Easter. Yeah. Mm.
Okay.
No maple turkey.
No, no, I've never had it anyway, so it might exist, but who knows? I've never had it. Yeah. Mm.
Well,
So,
thanks to you, I was writing like a full page essay for the show today, and I'm really excited about that. And I hope some of my answers aren't really lame.
Well,
oh,
I mean, we'll see. I mean, I doubt any of our answers will be lame, but I mean, we'll have to wait and see what comes of that. So, how about you, Johnny? Man, how's your week been?
Oh, it's been pretty good. I've been chilling, watch some stuff, watch some good stuff, some not so good stuff. I watched The Grim Cuddy on Hulu, which nobody should watch. Just go ahead and take my word on that. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I get the idea. Like it would be really cool to like actually do like a meta like iPhone horror movie, but like doing it about like Blue Whale Challenge and Momo like 4 years after all that shit happened, it's like
And I have one issue. How many times can they use the word fascist in that movie?
yeah,
Like, I mean, come on.
they, they took
Just
your phone. Oh, that's
take,
fascist.
yeah, they're fascists. Like, taking away someone's phone makes you a fascist now. I think you should send these kids to back to school, get a dictionary, and try to see what people in the past, what real fascists did to people in the past, and maybe they'll have a little more perspective on the usage of the word and not just throw it all
Maybe
loosey
that's what
goosey.
the maybe that's what the parents were actually mad about and why they were taking the phones away, so the kids like actually know what the hell they were talking about. But there I go,
Yeah,
sounding like a boomer. But I
yeah.
wasn't on anybody's side in the movie. I just thought everybody acted just as dumb as possible in the whole thing.
Mm.
Yeah, you can't really take a side. You're just kind of like it's just all melded together. Like it's just
Yeah.
not wasn't
Um,
effective.
mm. And you also watched something else, didn't you, this week, Johnny? Last night, didn't you?
Oh yeah, but we're gonna talk about that like a little bit later. I thought after we kind of get through our check-in, I was just gonna bring it up to Grim Cuddy. I thought maybe Mel might want to talk about a certain third part of a trilogy that dropped today that was absolutely wonderful.
Oh
Oh,
my
the Halloween
god.
movie. That's true.
Like I said,
And
I'm
you're
not
gonna.
going to give anything away, but Halloween ends like it does. It takes a lot in me to write a really negative review. And this is going to be a pretty scathing review because the longer I sit on it, like the madder I get about what I watched. And I've even been trying to think, okay, like if this was like an independent movie from the Halloween franchise, would I enjoy it? Because a lot of people on social media are saying, well, just mark my word that, it's going to be like Halloween 3, where it's going to become this cult classic and everybody's going to think it's the best in the entire series. And I'm like, really? Like,
Well, I think
but
that's hard.
independent, I can't really see it any. I wanted to turn
Yeah,
it off. So,
I. But I don't think it can detach itself from, like, the third one didn't have Michael Myers. It didn't have Jamie Lee
right,
Curtis. It didn't, which this one
right.
did. So how are you supposed to detach this one from the franchise so it can, like, as a standalone, like almost like an anthology of, like, an offshoot from it, let's say,
Yeah.
with you when you have the two main titular characters in it, like, I don't think it's possible.
Yeah, that's the whole thing too, is like this is literally supposed to be the conclusion of a trilogy. It's not supposed to be an anthology,
Yeah.
put into this film franchise.
Yeah.
And it just turned like weird lifetime toxic boyfriend. Um, I don't even know. The first 20 minutes, like I was hooked. They actually have this really cool thing where they have this like Haddonfield rock station that's playing music, and you hear like the DJ and stuff, and he's talking about different things around Haddonfield. Like I actually liked that they had that. It just kind of felt more like a town, like an old timey town, even almost. But
Mm.
oh my god, it just took this shift, and I just like slumped down in my chair, and I'm just like, oh no. And then I just hated it more and more.
Mm.
So the hate never let up for me, unfortunately.
So would
Well,
you say it's the worst Halloween, or like is it up there with like part 6?
You know, so Halloween is a franchise that I love. Like I love it like forwards, backwards. Now, I will admit that whenever I do my rewatches, I skip 7 and I skip the Rob Zombie movies because the Rob Zombie movies just depress the hell out of me. And so I usually skip those, and then 7 is just almost unwatchable. But like I get that Michael Myers just doesn't have like the best franchise, but it's also like good trash fun to watch.
Mhm.
But this one, I think because it was trying to be so serious, that it kind of makes it worse. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was made with such a big budget. It was made with such a, like a director, a filmmaking team that, are kind of A-listers in Hollywood. So it's kind of on a different level than Paul Rudd, babyface, like playing this like horrible character. So it's just kind of on a different level. And I think for that, like it's pretty much at the bottom, I think, for me. So outside of Rob Zombie, because that's just separate. But yeah,
Yeah, Rob
it's
Zombie's
rough.
Halloween 2 was really bad.
It's like unwatchable also.
Yeah.
Like I try to rewatch it sometimes just because I'm like, I think I'm being too harsh about it. And the first one, like the dialogue just kills me. Like it, what kills me about that part is, when she has the bagel with her mom with Dee Wallace, who's like the best horror mom ever, and she's like putting her finger in the bagel, and she's like, "Oh," and I'm like, "I'm out." Like, there's something about that scene. I'm just like, "Stop!" Like, and then the stepdad just,
Yeah, and
ugh.
the chicken abortions. Yeah, that movie's like really,
Oh,
really. But it's Rob Zombie, you know what I mean? Like you kind of just
yeah,
expect that kind of filth in his
yeah,
work, which is weird that
yeah.
he just made a family movie. Like I hear his Monsters is pretty bad though too, which is terrible
I
which is sad because
loved
I wanted to
it.
see it. Oh, was it good?
Okay, as someone who likes the Munsters, like if you go back and watch the franchise, it's not good. People are I think confusing the Munsters for the Addams family as far as like value goes, like in or production value goes, like in films. I mean, the last movie was in the mid '90s about Christmas. And like if you just even just look at the stills of it, like it's so goofy. Like it's beyond goofy. And so he kind of took that super silly, goofy feel and look of it, and he brought it to now. Like I enjoyed that part of it as someone who has seen the monster films and enjoy them for the slapstick,
Mhm.
silliness that it is. And that's what he did. And I went in expecting to hate it. Like this whole time, I'm like, this is just not going to be good at all. Then I went in and I'm like, oh my God, this is so sweet. And like, I'm like melting. And so, yeah, I think the grandpa was the best since the original. Daniel Roebuck is awesome anyway. But thank you. Backing me up there. But yeah, so I enjoyed it a lot.
That's
Mm.
cool. Like I
Cool.
want to see it. I just was checking out some reviews and like it's been getting some bad buzz, but his films always do. Like people really hated that Lords of Salem movie and I thought that was great. I thought that was actually like an actual kind of intelligent film that he tried to make with that.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah,
And
I
then
like those films, House of Thousand Corpses and all of that. So,
Oh yeah, his trilogy's great. Like I
yeah,
usually separate those from the rest of his work though because
yeah,
the rest of it varies. You get movies like 31, which I try to really like a lot of his stuff, but 31 is really hard to like.
mm.
very. You have to watch Monsters though, and let me know what you think, Johnny, because I thought it was adorable. Like I melted. So
Oh, definitely. Well, another thing that really impressed me, which Joey brought up earlier, was Marvel with their little Halloween movie. Really, really, probably was the best thing that they put out in um, since Ant-Man 2, in my opinion. Werewolf by Night, like nice little hour-long horror special that they dropped, and damn, did it
Yeah,
just hit the spot.
it
yeah.
was good, and they took more risks with it, like because it's black and white. They slit some throats. There is some blood, gore, like when they stab, like the flying blood from when people were getting chopped up or slashed. Like because it was black and white. They gave the director more freedom with that to show it more, which was great because to be honest, I'm starting to get the Marvel fatigue. Like I think they've gotten into this rut where it's like cookie cutter, right? All their movies are kind of now coming out and they all kind of almost seem like they have the same pattern. Okay, character, insert joke, bad guy. And, like it's almost like every movie, you're watching the same fucking movie every time. And I'm just kind of just getting sick of it. Like, I thought Moon Knight was a perfect chance for Marvel, like the MCU, since it's been with Disney Plus, to kind of give us a Netflix kind of feeling Marvel show, kind of like Netflix had with Daredevil, Punisher, Jessica Jones. I felt like Moon Knight was their chance to kind of give us something a little more gritty, which they did a little bit, but they still kind of couldn't get away from that yucks. Like we got to put the jokes and make the, like not every character has to be fucking Robert Downey Jr. being super suave and funny and throwing cracks, or like you can have some characters that are more serious and down to earth and straight laced. They don't all have to be wisecracking, funny guys. And I thought this movie, had a few like uh,
There was
campy
the scene with the
elements.
bomb. That was about the only part where I rolled my eyes and was like, okay,
Yeah,
that's dumb.
like there's a few little things, but
Yeah.
they didn't push it further than they had to. And like there's that, and because it was Halloween, they had a few little campy moments that fit perfectly within the tone of the movie. It didn't feel forced. It felt like it felt right in place, which was perfect. Like I loved it. This is the MCU thing I've enjoyed the most since maybe the first Avengers movie, to be honest. Like, and I would love to see them do more like it's almost like a one-shot comic, right? I'd love to see them do this with more characters. Maybe do a Ghost Rider like in a Marvel presentation, special presentation. Uh, like I was chatting with someone on Twitter, and I was like, take like the Midnight Suns, give them all one of these movies, and then make like a big theatrical release for a Midnight Suns ensemble cast movie where they all get reunited together and do like something like that. I think it would be a great way to introduce a team, like each character individually, and then do a big movie after. It'd be perfect.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I loved Man Thing. I loved
Yeah.
seeing him on screen. Like, oh my God, I just wanted to hug him. Like I would actually, that's a character that I want to see get, like, I know he's like been in things before, but like I want to see him like even like this kind
Oh,
of
we don't talk about the
format.
Sci-Fi Channel Man Thing movie. We don't
No,
talk. We don't talk
no.
about that.
Yeah.
I would love to see him get something like this, like the same type of treatment, but like just with him, because oh my
Mm-hmm.
God, he was so awesome to see. And it was so much practical effects behind him. But
Mm-hmm.
that's what I really liked about it, is that it was really like a homage to like this, like, Universal monster flick, but also Marvel at the same time. And, and like you were saying, like the campy moments, but like the guy, like in the coffin, like the,
Yeah,
like
but it
that was,
fit. Yeah.
it did. And I was like, oh my God. Like at first I'm like, what is this? And I'm like, this is really great. And then the whole scene plays out. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It
I
was it
enjoyed
was
it.
it was definitely a fun watch. I
Yeah.
really, and I was like Johnny, like I told Johnny, oh, you got to go watch this week. I told him go watch it. I'd like to talk about it on Friday. He's like, what? You like that movie? He's like, you were saying it was going to be stupid and stuff. I was like, yeah, because Disney was advertising it as a comedy. So I thought it was going to be like your another typical Marvel, let's make things funny type movie, and it wasn't anything like that.
Mm-mm.
So I was like, and Johnny's like, yeah, I mean, he was hesitant to go watch it, but I'm glad he did, and I'm glad he enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, well definitely
So,
when you said you wanted to talk about it for the show and that you really liked it after you'd said that you weren't going to like it, I was definitely intrigued and then yeah, I was blown
Mhm,
away by it
mhm,
because like Mel said, like it really pays homage to I saw more like the Vincent Price movies a little later than the
yeah,
Universal
yeah,
stuff like 13 Ghosts or House on
mhm,
Haunted Hills what it really
yeah,
reminded me of, but
true.
until she starts fighting and then she starts doing all the flips and spins like the superheroes
mhm,
do when they fight, but like that's the only time it kind of pulls you out of like you're actually watching kind of an old timey movie. And even when like the monster transformations, like I love the way they did the shadows and the pullbacks, and yeah, it
mhm.
was
Yeah,
really classy
when he,
done.
yes, exactly.
Yeah,
The transformation scene into the wolf, where you don't see it. It's like you said, the silhouette of the shadow is where you see it taking place, which is amazing. Like I love that when they get creative. Just like when I think back of the new Candyman movie, like my favorite scenes in that movie were the scenes where they talk about the past and the history and the story of how he came to be, and it's like those uh like shadow marionette type scenes. And I thought
hmm,
like that kind of stuff is amazing when they do that in movies, and I really enjoy it. It's so artistic, and it gives it a different vibe and flavor than always like this, let's go with like the CG and these big effects. No, you can get really creative and do like these mini like art movies inside a movie, and it's so effective, right? And I thought, like you said, with the use of the shadows, and I even like how they put just little hints of color in the movie here and there. It gives it a nice little touch, a nice little feel, and yeah, it's awesome. Like it was really good. So I have to give
I
props to
agree.
Marvel. I haven't been giving them much props lately, so when they do something good, I have to give them props and give them credit, and they definitely deserve it for this one.
Yeah, and I could definitely do with some more man things. So yeah, like they should
Yeah.
totally make more of these, even if it's just a Halloween thing.
Hmm.
Yes, 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 yes.
So, what else is there anything else you saw this week, Johnny, or read that you want to talk about in the check-in, or?
I started watching a show last night. I'm really enjoying. It's on Hulu, but it was originally an AMC show. It's called NOS for man. It's a Joe Hill thing. It's based off.
Nosferatu.
Nosferatu, yeah,
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
but they spell it out weird. Like
yeah,
it took me like six
NOS
months to
for
realize.
R2, yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's
Oh,
like
it's
phonetically written out, almost like kind
yeah,
of like yeah, Nosferatu, yeah.
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 You enjoyed that? Pat and I watched the first season.
I'm
We
only
dug
on
it.
like
It
the
was
fourth
decent.
episode. I like it a lot.
Hmm.
It's. I mean, it's flavored like a Joe Hill thing. So, like, if you like
Hmm.
Lock and Key, I'd say this is a little stronger, a little more hardcore.
Yeah, it's a little more dark. It's more horror than the Lock and Key, definitely. Yeah.
But it's still that same flavor, like
Hmm.
teen angst, adventure
Yeah,
type thing going on.
yeah, yeah. Definitely has like that. Yeah, like a teen, but it doesn't lean too hard into it. Like it still stays pretty good. That it doesn't have like that CW flavor or
Yeah,
anything
it's
like
not
that.
Grim Cuddy.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
That's it.
they took your phone. What a fascist!
I have never read a Joe. I've never read a Joe Hill book. I don't know why. I don't know how. I've never read a Joe Hill book. I
He's
should,
he's solid. Like I can't. He's
and
a
I've
I
good
like
never.
his
writer. I
comics.
mean,
I've never read like a
yeah.
novel of his, but like I've
No.
read
Yeah.
Lock and Key. I read Head Full of
Hmm.
Baskets or Basket Full of Heads.
I
Yeah.
think the only
Um,
thing I've seen of his, I saw the first couple of episodes of Nosferatu, and then I saw Black Phone, of course.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
yeah, I
that's true.
need
That's
to.
based on a short story of his. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I need to check out some of his material, I guess.
his comics are a lot of fun. I'd say he's a pretty good legacy baby. I think he's like paved his own way. Like I think he definitely got a little bit from his dad's name, but I think he brings his own stuff to the table. I think he's like
You know
Cronenberg's
what's
kid.
It's so funny because when I started reading Lock and Key, I was reading it, and I told Pat, it's like, oh, you got to read this. It has a very like Stephen King vibe to it, but like a comic. And I was like, so then I was like, I was enjoying it. Like I read maybe the first trade or something. Then so then I go online. I always do that, and I start going Joe Hill. Wait a second. Then I realized he just used his first and his middle name and dropped the King, right? And I was like, it's fucking Stephen King's son. I was like, son of a bitch. That's why it has that feel and vibe to it. So We
They
both
look
laughed.
identical too.
They do look alike. Like when he lets his beard,
Yeah.
when they both have the beard with the glasses.
Yeah.
Oh, they look so much alike. It's crazy.
He's like, I'm gonna drop king so I can stand on my own, and then he's like, by
Mhm.
the way, I'm gonna be a twin of my dad. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's true. When I saw pictures, I was like, oh, they even look alike. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
yep. So does the map mean that Johnny has like bodies hidden? Is
No,
that
I accidentally said a basket full of heads or a head full of baskets, and
Yeah.
so like I
oh,
what
Yeah. Whatever.
seeing if he knows where
We
the bodies
understand.
are buried?
Well, if you're gonna bury some bodies, Fulch is the guy to call.
Joe Hill also wrote Rain, right? That Image comic from just a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Him and David Booher wrote that together.
It's based on one of his short stories,
Yeah.
and he co-wrote it with another person. That's Zoe Thorogood does the illustration work, and she's pretty good. I like her
Yeah,
style.
her art's amazing.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah,
creepy too.
Yeah, it's on that label. It's like an imprint through Image with what's his name? Shit, I can't think of it now.
Is it Shadowline?
No, it's a. God damn it! I had one of his books kicking around here. Anyway, I'm not gonna, because we're gonna waste too much time if I try to fucking figure it out, because my mind.
Yeah, everybody's got their own imprinted image now, anyways, man. So like, I hear you.
Yeah. So anyway, it's something fairly new that it's been going on for about a year now, and I'm just taking a quick look through my books here if I have one.
You drive me crazy.
Yeah, not Ashley Wood. Is it Ashley Wood? Ashley Wood, is that an illustrator?
Yeah, Ashley Wood.
Okay. Ashley
he
Wood
does...
with another guy. They started an imprint together. That's what it is. Z something. Anyway,
Oh, the zombies fighting robots shit that like they've been republishing.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they're doing that through their new imprint, and it's him with the other guy. They're partners in it. Yeah, that's
Okay.
It's been going on. It's been about a year now. They've teamed up with Image. Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
You feel better?
Ah, yes. I hate it when I can't think of something like that, and then it bugs me for like hours
I have
after.
to look it up. Like I have to look it up. I go insane.
Well,
like
I would, but I'm not gonna start like, okay, guys, talks amongst yourselves,
click.
and just like half an hour. Like, what's Joe doing? He's still looking for that fucking thing.
Yeah. Or it'll come to you like while we're talking about something else, and you just scream it out.
Derail it, and just derail the conversation before I forget again, because it's only there for like 5 seconds and it disappears again. And it's
once you're over like 38, like your head just doesn't keep things in it. So
so I've been losing stuff for a long time now.
It's because of the Grim Cuddy.
Yeah, fuck. That will
put your phone in the box.
That will ruin a few brain cells while you're watching that. That's for
Put
sure.
it in the detox box, and what was it? Focus on your screen time in the meantime, or whatever. Like, like, what?
Awful. Oh my gosh.
I thought it was a little heavy-handed with the whole technology. People need to take a break from technology. It was a little heavy-handed with the way they handled it, but all right, there's better things to talk about, so let's move on to something else.
This whole episode ends up being Grim Cuddy.
Well, nobody's talking about it, man. People need to know about this thing. It's evil. It's eviler than the actual movie pretended it to be.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, anything else, Johnny? I have a few things that I could. I actually watched the first episode of Let the Right One In.
Oh, what'd you think?
I liked it, and I like kind of the angle they've taken. I don't know. You could have made this show and not made it connected to the movie, and it could have stood on its own.
Yeah.
And I think they probably should have maybe just gone and created their own thing, because like they're using the same beats as the movie, but adding this like this, where they're trying to find the vampire that turned her and all that stuff, and it's becoming almost like a detective story on the side, kind of. And it's interesting. I enjoyed it, but I don't think it was necessary to connect it to the movie. You could have easily made this and it's good. The performances are great. I like the actors. I think they all do a great job with the roles, and it's worth watching. I mean, if you can get past the fact that they're like, piggybacking off the popularity of the movie and just take it for what it is, then I think you'll enjoy it. But if
Well,
you're
the movie came out long enough ago that like enough people or youngsters probably haven't even seen it or know about it.
Yeah.
So this might be their first
Or
time
read
learning
it.
about the property too. Yeah.
yeah.
And to Matt's comment, that would just be like a horrible double feature. I cannot imagine. Like I like
So if
especially
you want to torture people, to just put them in the room with those things that hold your eyes open there and strap them to a chair and make them watch
Grim
those.
Cuddy with Halloween Ends. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. That's a good way to go about some torture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I watched that. That was a horror themed show. I actually started watching. Everyone's been gaga about this one. Is the Midnight Club?
I've seen some people say not some great things about it, but I haven't seen myself.
The common thread I've seen throughout social media is love it, love it, love it, hate the ending.
Gotcha.
And that's what I've seen about 3/4 of the people that, if they had anything negative to say about it, it was really the ending they didn't like.
Mm-hmm.
But up till then, most people said they've enjoyed it. So
I know. I think Sergio had said that he. I'd have to find again. I think he said that he had to turn it off because he just got so uninterested in it.
What's it, a vampire thing?
No.
It's based on a Christopher Pike book. He used to be like an R.L. Stine type book whenever I was a preteen and teenager and kid. But it's like this like hospice pretty much for kids who are dying, and they have a deal saying if you die and you make it to the other side, kind of give us a sign back so we know that there's like an afterlife. But
okay, yeah, we were talking about that with
I thought we did
with
Elle.
Yeah, I was like, it's like Flatliners a bit, but like not really.
But they don't kill them like each other or anything that I know of.
But
I haven't watched
basically,
it, so
it's kind of like an anthology because they have a secret club where they tell stories. They each take turns telling stories. So it's you've got the main thread throughout, and then you have like little mini stories that they tell that are like these little shows within the show, because it's the actors that play the roles of the stories they're telling. So it's kind of like a way of mixing an anthology style into it without it actually being an anthology show, which is kind of interesting.
I'll have to check it out for sure because I love Mike Flanagan. So I'm hoping.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I still need to. I also need to watch Midnight Mass.
My Midnight Mass is get past the first 3 episodes, and after that, it really picks up and gets.
Is that the one about the people on the island?
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't get past the 3 episodes. I got to try that again.
Get past. I mean, there's some memorable moments in the first 3, but it's very slow pace for the first 3. But then
I got to where you learned the preacher's secret, and I was just kind of like, is that interesting enough to keep me watching? I don't think it was.
No.
But I'll try it again, I guess.
Yeah. Oh man, 1994. I still listen to all 90s music almost. So
yeah, and like
I'm down for that.
And like Pew Pew Kid said, that the soundtrack is all straight from 90s. Like whatever alternative music was playing on the radio, you're gonna get a lot of those songs.
Speaking of R.L. Stine, they did that same thing with his thing too, the Fear Street. They did it made it take place in the 90s. Does this do a better job of replicating the 90s than Fear Street? Because Fear Street did a terrible job.
Well, to be honest, right, it takes place mostly in the hospice, so you have very few scenes outside of that building. So really,
we don't really remember the hospice of the 90s.
Exactly. So, I mean, you get a little flavor, but not too much of it, So, yeah.
Gotcha.
So it doesn't, like the scenery and stuff, because a lot of it takes place inside, right? So, and some of their stories aren't necessarily take place in the 90s. Like the ghost stories or some of them take place in the 40s. So you get very different settings. It's not all 90s. So yeah, if you're expecting like a throwback, everything in the 90s, you'll be disappointed if you're expecting that from it. But yeah, it touches on a lot of different things. Like it touches on the HIV epidemic back in the 90s. It touches on that a little bit. you know, it goes through a gauntlet of issues that were reoccurring in the 90s.
Okay.
Another show I actually got back to that I watched the first season was Mr. Mercedes, and
I haven't seen that.
yeah,
I-
that's based off Stephen King's
Yeah.
book of the same title, right, Mr.
Yeah.
Mercedes.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed the first season, and then the way it ended in the second season, Pat and I were like, ugh, do we really want to watch the second season? So I've been finishing work early all week, so I kind of like was trying to find something that maybe she wouldn't want to watch. So I popped this on, and the way they handle the second season, it takes like this twist where it becomes more of like a supernatural kind of show. Because the first season was straight up like a cop chasing a killer.
Like a thriller.
Yeah,
much,
like a
right?
thriller,
Yeah.
pretty much. Yeah. And now they've thrown like, I don't know, I hadn't read the book, so I have no idea how true they are to the source material. But I watched like what I got with 3 episodes in. I'm like, damn, I'm gonna have to stop this and try to explain to like Pat what it is, and because it got pretty interesting, like the second season. So we're gonna give that a go and try to watch the second season of that one, which was pretty. It was pretty good. I mean, anyone who likes like would want an Ice Cream Man movie, just cast what's his name, Treadway, is that his name? The one who plays the killer in it, because he plays an Ice Cream Man in it, and he looks just like the guy from Ice Cream Man comics. So you could just cast him as the main guy, and it would work. He looks just like him. So
he's typecast as an ice cream man going forward.
Dude totally looks like a Martin Razio drawing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Werewolf, and I knocked out a few movies that we touched on last week from our list from playing the horror alphabet.
I'm glad you like Prowler.
Yeah, I hit up a few of your picks. I did His House, Prowler. What was another one I watched that you had? Prowler, His House. I thought there was another one. Maybe not. Anyway, but those are pretty good. Mr. Harrigan's Phone, we watched that one as well, which is another Stephen. We did a lot of Stephen King.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's another Stephen King one, and it was good. We enjoyed it. I thought Donald Sutherland's always good. Like, I mean, I don't think I can name too many movies that he was in where he didn't do a fantastic job, and it's worth watching. It's a fun movie. It's good. Yeah,
definitely on my list.
Yeah, for a Netflix movie, it's definitely very good for Netflix stuff, because Netflix movies are kind of hit and miss sometimes. So
very,
yeah,
very, very.
Yeah, that one was pretty good. And for books, I started reading. See, it's Halloween. I started reading The Razor Blade. I got the hardcover. That's the James Tynion magazine that came out in the middle of the pandemic of just all horror books, like horror stories from different creators. It's an anthology. And I started reading Powell's Big Man Plans. It's a story of a dwarf or little person who turns into a miserable person due to PTSD type scenarios from abuse from when he was younger and stuff. And ends up being quite the badass killer. So it's kind of like a slasher where the main character slasher is a dwarf who goes around and doesn't take shit from anyone. And there's definitely I'm about halfway through, and there's definitely some very memorable pages in it. So yeah. Full on dwarf frontal nudity. There's a page of that in it. So yeah.
I have to say, the last issue of A Righteous Thirst for Vengeance, which actually Elle and I had talked about this like in privately, but the nudity in it just it was like so gross. Have y'all read that one yet?
No.
I've only read the first couple issues. Yeah.
This like horrible old man just getting like oral and just sitting around naked and like you can see everything, like the boys, like just everything, and I'm just like, like the whole time.
Now that's ageism. That's we don't accept ageism around here.
He is a huge jerk. He's a huge jerk. I'm allowed to not like it.
I'm just teasing. I'm bugging you.
I mean, let's be honest. Like that stuff's not like cute in its prime. So I'm just
Well,
like,
I can't
Uh,
ugh.
argue with you on that one.
Yeah.
it's like the little wiener ghost in Infidel. That one always gets me, like scares the shit out of me.
Ugh.
Yeah. Mm. Maybe there's a reason why they don't do more male nudity in anything. People just tune out. All right, time to shut this off.
I mean,
Uh, so that's pretty much my check-in. Mel, do you have anything for a check-in? You did
you know,
Halloween.
I did. I did Halloween Ends, and this week has been kind of light. I caught up on Bob's Burgers,
Oh,
which
okay.
is, 13 seasons in, and they are just like, I have tears when I'm watching almost
Mm.
every episode. So I got caught up on that. And then there was something else I was thinking I watched. Murder She Wrote. I
Oh,
started.
yeah. You started
I
rewatching that because
I
yeah.
did because I got Peacock. They have this really great deal right now, which by the way, you can get Peacock for a whole year for $20 with a promo code of like fall 22. So definitely
Okay.
do that if you don't have it. But um yes, it's so good. But yeah, so they have Murder She Wrote, all of them. So I've started with the very first episode because I'm like this like big like cozy mystery dork who has a whole bunch of cozy mystery books, including that series. So I just wanted to revisit it because I haven't seen the earlier seasons since, forever. So
They should
I'm
bring that
watching that.
back. Hilary Swank in the new Murder She Wrote.
No.
Isn't she already
um,
doing a show like that
Yeah,
called
she's already
Alaska
got
something?
Alaska Daily,
Alaska Daily. Yeah.
where Elle
So
said she was trying to win Oscars and shit with her acting. I guess she'd be chewing scenery on that show, according to Elle.
yeah, her description of it was actually really funny. It's all I think about every time I see anything about that movie. I think about Elle's comments on it. So
Hilary Swank trying to win Oscars. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, when she should be going for the Emmy. um,
Yeah,
but
she's already
yeah,
got an
so
Oscar, so she probably want to add an Emmy onto that shelf of hers of awards. Mm.
yeah, and then I've been reading a lot of comics at night. I've actually been going back through Wolverine, and so it's
Oh,
like yeah, so I've been going through like Wolverine Origins and all of that, and just reading a lot of Wolverine. So that's been fun. Been doing a lot of that. But yeah,
is that a read along you're doing with Fulci, the Wolverine?
never, never.
Never.
I don't even know that dude.
How far did you get into Hellblazer?
Like 260 issues.
Holy shit!
damn.
Yeah, but we need to go back to that because I really want to finish that out. Just kind of needed like a cleanser after that many
Yeah, yeah.
issues,
Just
and
to,
so
mhm. Man, that's a
yeah,
lot though. That's a good chunk of reading, man.
that's a lot.
That's
It
like
is.
halfway
That's
through.
crazy. Yeah.
And it's like the first writer who took it on. I don't know if people realize like reading it for the first time. I'm reading it and I mean, some writers are better than others, but the first writer, like he's very celebrated for this, but there's like so many references to like underage stuff that like after a while I'm like, wait, this is like the 14th reference to like something sexual underage, and it's just like it just got like really constant. And I don't know, like that kind of like threw me. And then it would change writers, and then he would come back up, and then it's like, oh my God, again. And then it would like, like so good stories, but like some of it I'm just like, did anybody look into this at the time or I don't know. But
Mm.
Jamie Delano ain't been canceled as far as I know, but it might be
no, and
coming.
well, and it's kind of like I don't know, like I like his writing and like some of his stories are just fantastic, and his character writing, I mean, just so
Mhm.
good. But like going back to it, and even Matt had said the same thing, was like I didn't realize the first time I read it, like how often this happens. And then
Yeah.
since I pointed out, he's like, oh my God, like again, again, again. So
Hmm. Pat
yeah.
had to stop. We read the first two or three trades, And she's like, "Ooh," she's like, there's some heavy reading in there. I was like, "Yeah, it can get pretty." Yeah, so she was like, "I think I'll take a break," because she read the Spurrier one. She read a few like smaller like miniseries or arcs that aren't part of the main, like, and she liked those. But we started reading like from the beginning, and I think she kind of was like after the third trade, she was like, "Oh, I don't know if I could keep going." So it's
It
like you
gets
say, there's
really
definitely
dark.
yeah.
It only gets harder from there. Like from Delano, you get into Ennis and like all this stuff about Northern Ireland and
Yeah.
stuff that he wrote into it. Like it gets really, really deep, really brutal.
I love Ennis's run though. Oh my god, so good. But yeah, Matt. Yeah, he did a little bit. I was reading about what he's doing now, and I saw something about him writing stories about like a pirate ship full of pirates, and they're like fucking each other to death or something. And I'm like, that's on brand. I get it.
Did he ever do any runs on Crossed?
Jamie Delano, yeah, I think when
He
it
did
became
some. Yeah.
when it became crossed Badlands and like it switched writers, I think he wrote in there a couple of times. But
Okay. No. It seems like
I
a lot of
mean,
those.
super talented, but
Yeah, because you had Ennis, you had a bunch of those guys right on Crossed as well.
well, he wrote a bunch of stuff for Avatar, but I don't know if he wrote any of the mainline cross stuff.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
yeah.
All right, so
Good
are we
for my
gonna get?
week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess we could get to our lists, right?
Yeah, we had a
All
hell of
right.
a check-in.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
good.
almost an hour. Now for the next 4 hours, here's my list.
Well, I don't know. There's only 3 of us, and we
Kidding.
don't have a whole alphabet, so I think it'll be. Well, I think we'll manage pretty good. So,
Yeah.
which list do you want to start with? You want to start with the characters, the kills, the comics, the final girls? Which one do you guys want to do first?
Let's do characters.
Characters. All right. So
Yeah.
our top 10 personal favorite horror movie characters.
Yes.
Doesn't necessarily have to be like the villain or anything, just a memorable character that you love from a horror movie.
And I will say mine are not necessarily ranked because I suck at ranking.
Okay, that's
Like
fine.
I'm really bad
just
at ranking.
top
but
10.
Yeah.
No particular order. All right,
Yes.
perfect.
There
So,
you go.
seeing as how you're our guest of honor, we'll let you go first.
Okay. Well, the first one I have to mention is Herbert West because, of course, I mean, it's Herbert West, and Jeffrey Combs is brilliant as him. But yeah, I love the Reanimator, and I love like his little ticks that he has. My favorite moment in a horror movie is when he's sitting there listening to the professor and he has his pencil and he just keeps breaking his pencils to like get his attention. And that moment is just such a great moment. It's like my favorite of the entire movie, which is crazy because it's such a good movie. But yeah, I think he played that character perfectly, and I love it. And I love it in the sequels as well. So that had to go up first.
Cool. Very good pick. So what's next on your list? I think what we'll do is we'll let you go through all of yours, and then if we have common ones, like we could chime in if you have a similar pick to us, and we could all chime in on the same one. And then when we go through our list, we could just skip over the ones we have. We'll maybe say them, but we could skip over them a little quicker.
Okay.
I think we'll be able to get through it faster that way. Yeah.
My second one is Angela from Sleepaway Camp, but Angela from Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3.
Okay.
I like
because they changed actresses, right? They changed actresses. Yes.
The second actress is actually Bruce Springsteen's sister.
Okay.
But yeah, so I love her in those 2 films. I think she's so funny, and she yes, I agree. I think she's so funny, and I think that she brings a lot to the franchise.
I would definitely I would accept Howard the Duck. I thought it had more horror vibes than anything else, that movie. Because the alien was almost like a monster, right? The other alien
it was scary as a kid.
It was. As a kid it was, yeah. So I'd give that to him for sure, yeah.
And now Jeffrey Jones is a pedo. So he's like convicted. So he's really scary.
Yeah, Mr. Rooney, right? Yeah.
Yeah. My third on the list is Pamela Voorhees. Because oh my gosh, like especially back in the early 80s, being a woman slasher, like that was so unique, and so I think that was such shocking, and her performance is so good.
Kill
Yeah.
her, mommy. Kill her.
So, oh man, I mean, and then like, oh, I love that whole end scene.
Mhm.
Um, my next one is Return of the Living Dead, and I chose Frank, played by James Karen, R.I.P. I think that every single time I watch it, Frank just makes me laugh so hard. Like he's so funny in it, and he's such a classically trained actor. So to see him do that, thank you.
Yeah.
Um, my next one is from Monster Squad, and that is Tom Noonan's Frankenstein's monster. I
Oh
think that
yeah.
he is one of the best Frankensteins, like in like cinematic history. Like not the best, but one of the best. So I had to put him in there. I almost did Dracula, but I went with Frankenstein's
Mhm.
monster instead. My next is Jason Voorhees, but Jason Voorhees from part 3. so, so Richard Brooker's Jason, he has my heart, and I love Richard Brooker, and I think that he was just the best Jason. Plus, it's he last time he's human, and he
Yeah.
gets the mask, so very iconic.
Where at what point does he get the mask? Is it like halfway through the movie, right at the beginning, or?
Yeah, no, it's so
Eh,
Shelly, the dorky guy with the
Mhm.
big hair, he has the mask because he's like a practical joker, and then he has this hockey mask that he pops out and scares Vera, and then he takes it off, leaves it on the dock, and then he comes and picks it up and shoots Vera straight through the eye with a
harpoon kind of.
bow. But
A heart,
that's
yeah,
like, I mean, that's like pretty probably halfway.
halfway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, he
Yeah,
was
it's pretty.
a couple kills in. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. So thank you. So yeah, very iconic there.
Mhm.
My next one, of course, is Elvira. Because
Yeah.
and I have her on my list a couple of times, but that's still a movie that I can watch and that like shaped my whole childhood, if you can't tell. Um, so the next one is because she's one of the best moms in horror, and that goes to Diane, aka Joe Beth Williams from Poltergeist.
Mhm.
I think her performance is perfect, and she's one of the best horror moms. And then what am I on 9? Okay, so my next one is a twofer, and that's going to be Lorraine and Ed in the Conjuring series.
Yes.
Um, I
Yeah.
love their love. I don't like the last Conjuring that came out,
Mhm.
but before that, like I want them to
Yeah,
like
one and two
adopt
are
me.
good.
Mhm.
Like I don't know if I want them to adopt me or make me their third. Like I go back and forth, but I
But
just
yeah.
love them together.
Yeah.
Um, and then my last one's actually a really new movie, and that is OJ from Nope.
That's true.
Because
He was awesome.
holy crap, like he like just oh my god, like I just like wanted to clap in the theater so many times, and he just like he's so subtle, like he's so reserved and awkward and subtle that oh my god, his performance is just so perfect. And I love his character.
When
So
he punched that little kid dressed as the alien, that was oh man, I lost it so hard. That was so funny.
I
I mean, just
haven't.
whenever he's sitting there and he's just like, nope. Like
Nope.
you just like lose it. And just that one word and he just looking up, nope.
Nope.
And like, oh, I've thought about that movie probably more than any other movie I've seen this year. Like I consistently still think about that movie. I loved it. Like I just loved
Awesome.
it. So he had to make my list.
Awesome. I still haven't seen that one.
You haven't
Me
seen Nope?
too.
Oh, it's very
Nope.
good.
Oh
I,
my
I,
gosh.
the last time I went to the theater to watch a movie was the second. Was it the second one or the first one?
It? Oh my gosh, it's
Yeah,
been so long. When did that come
yeah, just
out?
before COVID. Like it came out like the summer before COVID, or the
Was
end of the
it?
summer. Yeah,
Was it
yeah,
19?
yeah
I think the last movie I
2019.
saw was Birds of Prey, so yeah, it's been like forever since I've seen a movie in the
We
theater too.
tried we tried to go see Black Phone, but I looked at the listing wrong. It was at a different theater than the one we went to. So that kind of. So I still haven't. We still rent movies at home, like the straight to whatever simultaneous release on both. But
Yeah.
I usually wait till it drops down from the $25 to like the $5-6
Yeah.
rentals, and so I think Nope's been out long enough. I'll go check this weekend. It might be down to $5. Maybe I'll rent it this weekend and we'll watch it.
Yeah, you and Matt, man, y'all, I think y'all like it. But like now, like with my position where I'm like at Movie Web, like, I have all these writers covering all these break
Mhm.
because my team only focuses on current releases or
Okay.
upcoming.
Yeah.
And so we don't do any because we don't do like any type of evergreen. So it's all like upcoming or recent. And so now if I don't want something to get ruined, I have to watch it immediately because
Oh
my
yeah,
team's gonna
because
be it's
yeah.
very heavy, heavy spoiler. And so nope, all of a sudden someone put in explaining the ending of Nope. And I'm like, and I hadn't seen it yet. That day I'm like, I'm going to see it right now. Like I
Yeah.
have to go see it. So yeah.
I,
So
there's a lot of people that didn't understand the ending of that film, and I don't get how you couldn't. You know what I mean?
it's not like a mysterious ending.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly expected it to be like a David Lynch type movie, and in a way, it
Yeah.
kind of is. It has its moments, but like the end isn't ambiguous. But
I loved it for that too because I expected it to be like that because it's Jordan Peele,
Mm.
and I like that he just like had so much fun with it, and it was just more straightforward. So
I'm glad that he made this one kind of funny too. I love his other two films, but like this one might be my favorite just because of just how kitschy and cute it is.
yeah, I think it is mine too. I was at the time when I first saw it, I thought, okay, it's kind of equal with Get Out. Us is definitely my least favorite out of the three. I liked it, but it's my least favorite. And now as time has gone on, I'm like, nope, it's up here. It rose above for me. So
Mm. Cool.
yeah,
So, Johnny,
but
you want
that
to
is
go
my
next?
list.
Oh, yeah. It was awesome. Like, very, I didn't have a
Very good
single
list.
one. Yeah, that was a good, very good list. Mine,
It was
do you want,
it was great. I don't agree with any of them. Just kidding.
so you want to go next, Johnny, or do you want me to go?
I'll go.
Okay.
Okay, first up for me, I have The Plague from Hobo with the Shotgun. Those are the biker guys that come and they invade the
Yeah,
hospital. They got the spear guns with the nooses. I love that
yeah,
scene
yeah.
where they're just like hanging all the people, just shooting them up into the ceiling. It's so over the top, but great. A Hobo with the Shotgun's just like one of my favorites, anyways. It's ridiculous. It's total trauma film. All right.
Yeah.
After that, I have the dad from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1 and 2. I love
Yes.
the scene where he's got her in the truck and he's
Yes.
like hitting her with the broomstick and laughing.
Yeah.
It's so stupid, but like it makes me laugh every time I'm at that scene, dude.
It's a
Like he's
great
just
scene. Yeah.
um next up for me, I have the Cenobites from Hellraiser, but
Hmm.
Chatterow is actually my favorite one, the chattering one. Like I love him. He
Mhm.
just creeps
Hmm.
the hell out of me. Um, for, coming up next for me, I have Slim Reeser from House to the Second Story. That's the skeleton cowboy. It
Yeah.
comes
Oh
after the.
yeah.
He is just
Hmm.
so cool looking, like evil Sam
Hmm.
Elliott skeleton.
Hmm.
Um,
Yes.
Finishing off the first half of my list, I have the original Wolfman just because he knew how to keep it classy. I mean, he had his nice button up tucked into his pants. You know, he made sure he looked good when he went out killing. And you got to respect the hustle. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
All right. Coming up next for me, I have the Black Skulls gang from Mandy. Just such a great design for all of them. Like just such creepy, nasty looking little goblin people. You know what I mean? So amazing looking. Coming up next, of course, I have the classic, the one and only, the King of the Monsters, Godzilla.
Oh,
Nice.
that's a good one. I didn't even think about that.
Mhm.
Do you have a specific one that you really like a design from one of the movies?
Yeah, it would be from Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah giant monster all out attack. I love the spikes on his back and just kind of how angular his face is. Also, like they made him particularly evil in that movie, which I had a lot of fun with because like there's this one scene where like there's this girl in the hospital with a broken leg and she's trying to get out and she just can't, and you think Godzilla passed the building by, but like a second later his tail hits it and just like knocks out her whole wing of the hospital,
Oh,
and you're just like, oh, that's you dirty dog Godzilla, that's so evil. So yeah, that would have to be my favorite one.
that's
Nice.
funny.
Coming up next, I have the character Kakimura from Ichi the Killer. That's Tobadano Asano's character with the slit open mouth. That's the first
Yes.
time I'd ever seen that in a movie. Soon after they did it in Pan's Labyrinth, which I think was a little more effective, a lot creepier looking. But I just really like the way Tobadana Asano plays the character Kakimura.
Hmm.
He's really over the top, and I don't know. he's like the best version of the Joker in my opinion.
Hmm. Yeah,
All right,
he's pretty
next to
slick. Pretty slick too.
yeah, he that plaid Yakuza suit that he rocks is just
Hmm.
man, plaid suits need to come back in style. That's all
Hmm.
I gotta say. Second to last for me, I have the Tall Man from Phantasm. Um,
Hmm.
Yes.
just just so scary, so iconic. Just the way he says "boy." I mean,
Yes.
you don't get more. And last
Yeah.
but surely not least for me, I have David Lopan from Big Trouble in Little China. Probably one
Oh,
of the most funniest horror monsters ever, man. Like
yeah.
his like, and
Yeah, I remember that.
I don't know
That's
if you
that.
guys count Big Trouble in Little China as horror, but I guess I don't know what else to call it.
I would count it. I would class.
I
I
think
think
it's
it
like fantasy
definitely.
horror.
Yeah, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
I think it's
I,
under the umbrella.
I
Because
mean,
that's the monster, right? In it, the hairy thing that
no,
hitches a ride at the end.
No, David Lopan's the old guy in the wheelchair, and then like he's like
The
7 foot
old guy.
tall. Yeah,
Okay.
this
Yeah.
really pisses me off to no end. That guy.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
hadn't watched it in a long time, but there's so many weird characters in that it's
Well,
it's fun.
Eric Powell did the comic for it, so I mean that makes it horror in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thank
Well,
you. I did. I liked your list a lot, Johnny. That was you had some good ones in there that I wouldn't have thought about. So I
mine's
was
much
hoping we
more.
would kind of do that. I was hoping it wouldn't be like Freddy, Jason, but I did have a Jason, but mine was specific. But
Yeah, and
yeah.
it was
And
Jason
now
with the
he
sack
kicks
on his
off with
head.
Freddy, Jason,
Yeah,
Michael.
Mine's pretty generic for a good half of it. It's like you say, it's a lot of the classics from the '80s, So I guess I'm up. So I'll go from like let's say the more generic stuff into the latest, like Freddy for sure. Like that was one of the first horror movies I ever watched as a kid, and I think it's just an iconic. Like he does such a great job with it. Like he gives it like if I compare it to Jason, who's just a presence, like never says anything or like he becomes the star. You don't have to hire big stars in the like he's the star himself, right? So I think you have to put him on the list just because
I have
it's
some Nightmare on Elm Street later on my list.
yeah.
yeah,
Because after you get, and I'm not just a part two at all, but like after you get part two, he becomes himself. Like part three is the first time you see Freddy, who Freddy's going to be for the rest of
For
the
the rest, yeah.
franchise.
But
And
it's
I mean,
yeah,
he's so funny and
it's nice
scary
to
at the same
yeah,
time.
like the evolution of the character
Yeah.
is nice, yeah.
Yeah.
After that, I have Chucky from Child's Play, just because he does what's the actor? I always forget his name.
Brad Dourif.
Brad Dourif. Like I mean, for me, like I love him in everything he does. Like I love him as an actor. He's so good in everything. Like I think the first time, and I never made the connection. The first time I saw him in something where I really noticed him was he always had small roles. Like he was like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and all this, but the X-Files where he's the psychic and he's on death row and when he's smelling stuff and he's crying. And that's the first time I really noticed him where I'm like, holy fucking shit, this guy's just intense. He's insane. He's so good. And then I was like, oh fuck, he does Chucky's voice. And it didn't dawn on me till later. Like when I was watching, I was like, then I made the connection. Then I was like, he's in so many things that I love, and he does a fantastic job with Chucky. Like it's more about his performance than the actual Chucky doll or character itself. Like he is Chucky. He brings that to life. Yeah, Deadwood as well. Yeah, Fulci. He was great. He's great in everything.
Yeah.
I don't think I could.
3.
I don't think I. Yeah, he's good in that. Like he's an amazing actor. I don't think I could name a single thing he was in that he didn't just knock it out of the park. Like
Yeah, he's an overachiever. Like he brings it, even when he's in like straight to video stuff. He brings it.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, and third on my list, I'd have to go Alien. The Alien from the Alien franchise. I was a huge Geiger fan when I was in art school and stuff. So, like, I love his design for the Alien. It's so creepy, so macabre.
Yes.
The mixing of the technology with like the organic, it was almost seamless. It almost seemed natural, like it went together. Like it's just a fantastic design, like top notch monster design. Like you I think that's like probably the pinnacle, right? I don't think you can beat a monster design than the alien from Aliens with the little mouth tongue thing and the way that they're birthed out of your stomach. Like just everything around it was so well thought out and so well planned, and it's a perfect monster in the way it's designed and everything about it. After that, I go with Michael Myers only because, I mean, over time, I think he's stayed probably the most relevant of all the big franchise, like like you guys said, you like run of the mill, like Jason, Chucky, all that. Like they're still making movies about him. They're still relevant. It's been redone several times. Like Rob Zombie redid it. I mean, and like Jason and Freddy, they're kind of classics. We still talk about them, but not much is going on with those franchises in the modern times now. So I think I have to give him props just for his longevity and how much he still appeals to people. After that, I'm going with this will probably be like whatever, Jason, because you know you have to. The hockey mask is just classic, you know, and which is funny because it only showed up in the third movie, right?
Yep.
Jason wasn't even in he was only at the end of the first movie. It was the mother.
As a kid.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, his little skinny zombie thing.
Yeah, just the evolution of that franchise is interesting. How it just evolved and became like, after watching that first movie, who could have dreamt that Jason would be what it is? Like Friday the 13th and Jason would be what it is today. Like you would have never thought, right?
No way.
Yeah, no way.
Even after Baghead, Sackhead, whatever you want to call him, Jason. That's true.
The second one. Yeah, part 2. He's wearing a sack on his head.
You would have never put that to like Kane's like zombified Jason in like part 7, you know, with like his like ribs sticking out and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like you would have never connected, which the first Friday the 13th I ever saw was Jason Goes to Hell. It's the first one I ever saw. So I was so excited to keep watching. And then I went back to the first and I'm like, how the hell does this connect? Like,
how did it get from point? From
I was a teenager. We didn't have Google back then. Like,
well, you could go from Jason Takes Manhattan to Jason Goes to Hell, and you still won't realize how those movies tie together, because Jason Goes to Hell, it's like so off on its own. It's a good little movie, but
Jason and are, you know, characters transferring Jason, and then I go to the first one and it's his mom, and I'm like, what happened? Like, I don't understand. But yeah.
Then I go with one that Fulci's gonna enjoy, Pinhead and the Cenobites. That's Johnny and I both have that on our list. And as a kid, because like Freddy, Chucky, you know, they have a campiness to them, right? Like Freddy's all disfigured, but there's a campiness to it. Maybe not in the first, like you said, one. Starts to get a little more jokey in the second, then in the third, like you said, he becomes. But there's always that little campy element. He always delivers that like cheesy line here and there, which kind of takes away from the spook, the scary, like the threatening part of it. But like this, there's none of that. They don't do wisecrack. They're like these weird looking things and creep the fuck out of me as a kid. Like, and I think that's why when I was younger, I probably didn't watch Hellraiser as much as, let's say, some of the other ones, because it gives you the creeps. You just looking at those characters is just turns your stomach. So those are great designs from that aspect, like from the body horror aspect and how the faces and the deformity in it throughout the franchise. Just to see the different designs they come out with was just
like the way it would have his clothes weaved through into like the skin on his chest. That always grossed me out the most about his design.
Yeah,
and you know you're not going to get away. Like with Jason or, you know, Michael, you kind of think, okay, could I get away? Like you just run away, try to hide.
Yeah, exactly.
With them, you're not getting away. Like they're going to get you.
Yeah, we're gonna tie you up and take your skin off, and you're just like,
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. That I'll have that mentioned in one of my lists later on.
Yes, Matt, I totally agree. Yes.
Then I'm good. Then I'm coming in with 3 really campy ones that I love is Gremlins. I love like the Gremlins design. Like they all look the same, but just the cop out easy. Just give him a white mohawk and he's the leader, right? It was just so stupid. It's so simple. But it's great. I love Spike, and you know, great I just love Gremlins. Like
Yeah,
I hold it in my heart. I watch it every Christmas, and it's just an all-time favorite for me. And I had to put it on my list.
Yeah.
Another one that maybe people don't. Critters. I love Critters. It's another one of those goofy kind of little monster movies, and I just love it. And I think it's such a great design. They're like, you think they're all a little cute till they unroll, and then they got the ugly with a big gaping mouth and those jagged teeth, and you're like, oh, not so cute anymore. But yeah, Critters is awesome. I love them. Then I have to go with I'm going to the Evil Dead franchise, and I have to go with Ash. Like,
Yeah.
such a charismatic. Bruce Campbell is just fantastic, man. Like, how can you not love? Like, he makes me love that movie. Just his the physical comedy of his acting,
Mhm.
like everything about him is just fun, and he's so good that it transitioned to a fucking series later on in the
I'm
2000s,
so mad
right?
that
Like,
canceled still.
yeah,
That
and
was
it was
so funny.
and really leaned into it, like just as committed as he was, like it's just fantastic.
Yes.
Like, and I'm gonna finish it off with more like with David from Lost Boys.
Yeah.
Kiefer Sutherland, I love him in that role. He was great, and like
he
another one that I was pretty young when I watched that, and I just, made you want to be a vampire. David was like a badass, and he just like licks the finger with that little smirk on his face, the grin. He's like that. He's bad, but he's just too charming at the same time and devious and all rolled up into one. So I thought he did probably one of his best roles as far as I'm concerned.
he
Agreed.
made he made mullets cool with that.
He did like
Yeah.
he pulled it off, man. Like, I couldn't picture him without a mullet now.
And those
Yeah,
earrings,
Like,
like everything. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, your
so,
list was so happy, Joey. Like it was
yeah.
like so
Well,
nostalgic and happy. I loved it.
yeah. That's like I most of the horror I watched when I was really watching it was in the '80s when I was a young kid, and so a lot of those it comes out right. So most of my picks were all the '80s. Like, was there anything that wasn't from the '80s? Actually, now that I think of it, no. Fuck, every single one is
I have some
from
things
the
you
'80s.
mentioned later on my list. Yeah.
So anyway, whatever. Going down, midlife crisis, going down memory lane. So,
Yeah. I hear you.
all right. So I guess that sums up our first category, the horror movie characters, some of our
Yeah.
favorites. So what do you want to do next? You want to go with the final girl, and then we'll do the kills, or
Yeah. I like the
okay,
order that you had. And
okay.
it
So
was
we'll
like
do
characters, final, death, comment.
okay, final girls.
Yeah.
So you had a very diverse and interesting list. So we'll let you go first again.
Well, my first one's actually from Nope also, Kiki
Oh,
Palmer's Emerald. Because oh my gosh, like she was so good in that movie from like start to finish. I want to be her best friend. I want to be like everything. Like I just loved her so much in it. So, Johnny, did you like her in that?
Oh yeah, dude, she was
So good,
so funny,
right?
dude. Yeah,
Mm.
when she's watching the cameras and that praying mantis looks down at her and oh, dude, just I was thinking the whole time like I would totally watch Friday movie where she played Smokey. Like I was just like, she's that good. I could totally
So
watch that.
good. Yeah, she had to, and then she's kind of a more unique final girl, like not like a traditional. So, but I had
hmm
to put her on the list. My second one's very traditional, and that is Jenny from Friday 13th Part Two.
hmm
I love Jenny, and I think that she just turns into such a badass, and she goes from like this like sweet girl next door. She's like the epitome of a final girl. So, and she's one of my favorites in Friday the 13th. So,
Like,
um,
especially in the old kind of definition. I think nowadays final girls have evolved into something completely
yes,
different than what it was in the '80s, right?
yeah,
Like, now
I
a
completely
final girl
agree.
is kind of what Jamie Lee Curtis like, which is why I find it's kind of cool because anyway, we could get into it when I do my list, but yeah. Yeah.
My next one is Ripley. Like you have to have Ripley from Alien.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then my next one was hold on. Just smart and didn't make dumb decisions in Friday 13th. Yes, exactly. My next one is a newer one, and that's Ready or Not. I know I mentioned Ready or Not last show, but I have to do it again because I loved Grace. I love Samara Weaver's
She's on my
performance
list.
or
I've
weavings.
got
Yeah,
I've got her on my list as well. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think she's fantastic. So,
Yeah.
and then Kirsty Cotton, Pinhead or Hellraiser. You have to have Ashley Lawrence on there. I think Ashley Lawrence was overlooked as a final girl for so long for some reason. And you go back and watch the original Hellraiser, she is incredible. Like she acts her heart out, and she is such a good final girl. So I had to put her on my list, and that's
Nice.
it.
That's a great list.
Some traditional mixed with some new.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, Johnny. We'll keep it in the same order, so you could go next.
Hi, Zod Rider.
Okay, I'm gonna start off with going over Christy Cotton because yeah, dude, she's just badass, and she also got to be pretty good in part two too, which is probably one of the best sequels. So yeah, Christy Cotton from Hellraiser is my first. Next up, I
Mhm.
have Tuffy from Feast. She really comes out of her shell
Yeah.
after her kid gets eaten. It's such a ridiculous but fun movie. I love Feast. Mostly for Henry Rollins, but everybody shows up in this. Next up, I have Susie Bannon from Suspiria, played by Jessica Harper. She's just classically beautiful, and I think she played a really interesting character in like a very, very just surreal, beautiful film. Next up, I don't know if this really counts, but I'm gonna put it anyways. I got Celine from the Underworld movies. I love Kate Beckinsale. I think she's pretty badass. I wish the movies were as cool as they are in my head, but we'll work on that.
Well,
And
the first movie, I think the first one still
First
holds up
one,
pretty good.
solid.
Yeah, it is.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
don't like Michael. Like the love story is just so trash in those movies, man. Like if she just kicked ass by herself, it would have been such a better film than having like some big dumb dude that could turn into like the Ultra Beast. Like,
The
but I still
hybrid.
like the movie. Yeah, I just kept hearing that Rob Zombie song, the Ultra Beast and shit. And last but surely
Yeah.
not least, I have Reggie Belmont from Night of the Comet, played by Catherine Mary Stewart. She's just totally badass, totally cute.
Is
Rocking
that
an
the
Uzi.
cheerleader one or the other one?
The other one, I like the
The other
older
one. Okay.
sister. The
Okay.
the other one, I would feel really creepy because she looks like she's 12 or something.
I'm
The other one,
interviewing her here soon.
well, I'm pretty sure
Nice.
she's grown up, but like
Oh,
in the film,
she's a little bit.
No, she's found the secret. She's cheated time, you know.
she lives in Florida. She found the fountain.
Yeah, I
Nice.
like her.
All right, so my list here goes kind of the same way as the other one. I go with some pretty typical picks early on with Jamie Lee Curtis, who was probably the final girl of the 70s, early 80s. She was in Halloween, she was in Prom Night, she was in Terror Train. She was in everything. And
Hmm.
for her to continue having a pretty successful career throughout after as well is not as common for a lot of these girls, final girls that were in these movies back in the 80s, 70s, 80s. So I have to give her props because she's probably one of the most iconic final girls throughout, you know, now she's back. And just the evolution of her character too in the new Halloween movies is I love it. The way she has
Uh,
evolved into something else. Like I dig that. And they brought her back years later. She's older and assuming
They
like
did it
I just
twice.
yeah, I really love the way they did it. Yeah. So yeah. And I have Ripley as well, Sigourney Weaver. I had to put her on because
Yes.
probably one of the first badass, female, like not really ever a victim, always fighting nonstop. You know, so that one's great. I put Heather. How do you pronounce her last name?
Latin Camp.
Landcamp from the first Nightmare on Elm Street, because that
Hmm.
was one of the earlier ones that I've watched and really enjoyed that. Then I'm gonna
She
go
was
with
so
something.
good in New Nightmare.
Yeah,
Oh,
Loved
dude, when
her.
she comes out and she yells at the chauffeur, "Leave us alone, you son of a bitch!" and it's just like that old guy sitting there. I love that scene, dude. It's so funny.
yeah. And you actually have an article on her recently, right? You put out an
Yes.
article. Should she come back and do kind of the Jamie Lee Curtis treatment, have her do one last
Yeah.
hurrah as the character? to fight
Yeah.
off Nightmare. Like if they brought back the franchise, would it be good to bring it back with the same kind of idea of Halloween?
down.
Yeah.
She's down. She's inspired by what she's seeing, of course, and I mean, I want to see it. So
It would be awesome. Like I
Yeah.
love like what was I saying the other day? Oh, like The Professional, like Natalie Portman. Like if you did a sequel, now would be the time. The way that movie ended, where he takes her under his wing. Now she's older. Like you can have her as the hitman. Anyway, like I like sequels when they're like 40 years apart, 30 years apart. You know, I think it works better that way. People have had a break from it for such a long time. To bring that person back into that role, I think is a smoother kind of way to go about it, and less doesn't seem like a cash grab and cashing in yet. Sometimes, not always, but
Sally from Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Did they do that?
A fan of that. The new Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Sally comes back.
That's the Netflix one that just came out last year. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Was that as bad as everyone said it was?
I didn't think it was that bad.
I didn't like it.
I mean,
I didn't like what they did to Sally. They didn't give her. I didn't think that they gave Sally her
just treatment, like the respect that the character deserved. Yeah.
Put a sack on her head and whack her with a broomstick while you're in the truck.
They basically did. I do love that scene though. It's been playing in my head.
And I remember, like you were saying in the when you did, because you guys did a podcast with Fulci on that one, I think, and like you're criticizing like there's a murder and everyone has their phones out filming it while everyone, like it's so stupid, right?
That
was in the Texas
was literally
one, right?
killing, and they go, "You're so canceled, dude."
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Like, because he cares about Instagram Live.
Yeah.
Grim Cuddy's gonna get him.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Grim Cuddy shows up and has a showdown with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Number 4 on my list is Camille Sullivan. Fulci will like this one, from the mother that in Hunter x Hunter. She has a fantastic, great final scene. Like, love that movie is worth watching just for the ending. Like, it's fantastic.
I'll have to see that.
It's on Hulu.
Oh, good. I'll have to watch it.
And 5th was Samara Weaving. I had her from Ready or Not as well. And I had one person that I wanted to give an honorable mention to was Barbara Crampton.
Oh.
Yeah, I want to give her because she did a lot of stuff in like the 80s. And then when she had kids and stuff, she took a break from acting. And now she's come back and done so many movies, and not like decent horror movies too. And like, and she's grown and evolved with the industry as well. Like now the character she's doing is like, what's Jacob's Wife? Is that it? One of the more recent ones she did. Like, I thought she was great in that. That was a fun movie. I enjoyed that one. Like, and she's still working in it and seems to be relishing getting back and doing these like small budget horror movies and just living it up and loving it. So I just wanted to give her a shout out because,
well, if you like Samara Weaving, check out Mayhem. It's a movie she did with
the guy from
Walking Dead. Yeah, with Glenn. Yeah,
Steven
with like
Yeun.
He was also in Nope. He played the cowboy. He was so awesome in that.
He was so good in that. Okay, I just want to watch Nope right now. Like, I'm just
Gordy's home.
Mayhem was pretty good. I enjoyed that one.
Yeah, she was badass in that.
So that's my list.
Good list.
All right. So next up, we have kills or deaths in a horror movie. So we'll let you kick it off.
Okay. First off is, and this might actually be my number 1, but it is Jason X, that face smash. When they freeze it.
Oh, yeah.
And then he smashes the head. Forever, that has been my favorite kill in Friday 13th and probably like a slasher. And thank you. And yeah, so that had to go down first. The next, this is kind of a big kill scene with more than one victim, but again, Tom Savini at his freaking best in The Burning with the canoe scene where you kind of like something's coming and all of a sudden he pops up, but then it's a huge slaughter fest. And everything like body parts are just flying, and it just doesn't shy away from the gore. And man, Savini back then was, he still is a master, obviously, but man, that work, you just can't beat it. My third is Friday. This is for you fellas. Is Friday 13th Part 3, the Andy chop, straight from the groin down to his midsection, because he is an idiot and walking on his hands for some reason with his legs up in the air, and Jason's just like chop all the way down. So that had to make my list. My next one is Tucker and Dale, the wood chipper, because it not only was it so funny, but it led to like a really great, like him holding the legs, and they're like, oh my god, he put him in the wood chipper. But,
yeah.
It was just so funny. He's like, they're killing themselves.
Yes, I don't understand. They must be on drugs.
Like,
and it's so great because
today.
If people haven't seen that, people have to go out and see Tucker and Dale versus Evil, or Dale and Tucker, is it, or Tucker and
Dale?
Tucker and Dale. Go see this. It's for a comedy horror. It's top notch. It's right up there with Shaun of the Dead. Like,
it's inventive. Like I really like the storyline. I was really surprised whenever it the storyline revealed itself. But my next one is one of my favorite openings to any movie, and that is Christine. When the worker at the factory gets in, he has a cigar, and he gets in, and he's like doing stuff on the car before he knows it's haunted, and the car kills him. And like, it's such a great setup for what's to come. And Christine is such a great movie anyway. So I have that one on there. Hatchet, where Crowley rips the lady's mouth open. Oh, I didn't even think about Hatchet for any of mine. Hatchet's such a good underrated series. And so I also have Chopping Mall, and that is the janitor scene with Dick Miller when he just gets like electrified, like from the those stupid robots. Like, I don't even know what all their abilities are. Like, they just kind of change throughout the movie, which is just like the most absurd concept. Like, we're gonna have these killer robots, but I love Dick Miller, and I really like that scene with him. It's just so fun. R.I.P. My next one this is a classic, but Scream, Drew Barrymore's, because you're not expecting it. She's
the star, you think? Yeah, she's such a fairly big name, and
and they were really smart to have her face and her name so prominent on all of the marketing. So you go in, and all of a sudden you're like, did that just happen? Like, it still shocks me that was the setup. So it was really brave. My next one is Matt will actually like this one, is Motel Hell, and it's when Vincent and Bruce are fighting, when Bruce has the big pig,
the pig head,
and they're fighting with like dueling chainsaws. So that's a great scene. But then I love when Vincent dies, and you think it's going to be this like heartfelt thing, and he's like, I use preservatives, like I'm a hypocrite. I use preservatives, like that's like your regret in life, as you have like bodies lined up. So such a great death scene. The next one is Nightmare on Elm Street 3. So there was a few different deaths I could pick from this, but I went with Jennifer getting her head in the TV, because when I was a kid and Freddy popped out of that TV, oh my God, like my brain melted. Like, it was just so terrifying. And then he picks her up, and it's just such a great scene. So my last one is Trick or Treat. And I love it when the kid is like caught stealing candy on his principal's porch, and his principal's like giving him a lecture about checking your candy, and all of a sudden he's just like vomiting like tons of blood, like just all over the steps, and he doesn't stop, and he's like, should have checked your candy, and he just keeps talking like in such like a normal tone. And this poor kid, so that had to make my list as well.
Nice.
Those are my deaths.
Nice. All right, Johnny, what you got, man?
Okay. I got in Cabin Fever, where they're at the party, and like the guy swings the guitar and knocks the harmonica down the dude's throat, and the dude's just like sitting there breathing all. Yeah, that's my number 10. Like that kills me every time. After that, I have the last scene in I Saw the Devil, which is basically like how
Mm,
the dude has the killer all trussed up in like the homemade guillotine with his family outside the door. Just so brutal. Just one of the perfect ways to end a revenge thriller. I love that. Um, Number eight, I have the opening sequence from Suicide Club, and that's just a bunch of really cute Japanese schoolgirls. They're all singing, holding hands, and they just jump in front of this train, and just it's gory. It's just
I haven't seen
wonderful.
that.
All right. Number seven, I have the gold ball in Phantasm 2, where it lifts the guy up and it drags him across the ceiling, and then eventually, like, it's hanging out of his mouth, all just so brutal, so bizarre though, just such a weird kill. Um,
Hmm.
this one, it's from a movie I don't care much for, but it's so inventive and I loved it. In Freddy versus Jason, when he kills that dude by breaking the bed in half and snapping his back. Oh, that's just
Like,
so cool. Yeah, it's like a bear trap. All right. After that, I have the shark versus zombie underwater fight from the Lucio Fulci Zombie. I love that scene. It's just so badass. Then I have the first kill in Suspiria. Like that's when he has the cord and he drops the girl through the stained glass roof, and like the cord slowly slides up her body and then hangs her. Oh man, I don't even know how you come up with a kill like that. Like Dario's just next level. This next one, I talked about it, but I absolutely love when Alice Cooper stabs the dude with the broken 10-speed bike in Prince of Darkness.
Prince of
That is
Darkness. Yeah.
okay. And then going to Tucker versus Dale, but I have a different one. This is the one where he has the chainsaw with the bees and he's swinging it around and he makes that one dude run and like he gets impaled by the tree.
Uh,
He's doing the Texas Chainsaw
Like
Massacre
the Texas
chainsaw
Chainsaw
dance. Yeah.
Massacre.
yeah, that movie has it's great. Like that whole movie is fucking
So
fantastic.
good. I
Yeah.
actually thought about that one too, and then I went with the wood chipper. Yeah.
And then my
Yeah.
last but not least is when the killer puts the knife on the trombone slide and makes the person blow it and stab it into the other person's back in the Town the Dreaded Sundown. Like that kills me. Like that's some Looney Tunes level shit. Like the
Yeah.
That's a
trombone
good
slide.
list.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
I like all the instruments that you were able to work into your
And
kill
to
list.
it has a theme. Yeah,
And
that's it.
harmonica, guitar, trombone.
He likes the musical
Trumpet.
themed yeah deaths.
Yes.
All right, so I'll go with mine. The first one on my list is Friday the 13th kill, and it just has something to do with. It's related to my grandmother a little bit. Is the sleeping bag where he mucks the girl up against the tree
How was that
and kills her?
related?
Uh, my
Such a good kill, by the way.
yeah, it's a fantastic, and the fact that the sleeping bag, I don't know, the yellow of the sleeping bag too, just kind of it pops, so
Yes.
you really get that. It's a like really well done scene.
Mhm.
My parents grew up. Well, my dad grew up on a farm. There were 11 kids, and on a farm you have issues with cats and cats breeding, and then you have too many cats on the farm. So when cats would have too many kittens, my grandfather was a softie, and he couldn't bring himself to kill the cat. So my grandmother's like, oh, she was a tough lady.
No.
She would grab the cats and smuck them against the brick walls of the house and kill them off like that.
That's
Oh my
hardcore,
God.
man.
Putting
That,
them in a bag and drowning them would take too long, and she thought it would be more. She thought it was more cruel because it's a longer death. Where she's like, if you just smuck them, they die instantly and they don't feel any pain. It's a painless death. It's less cruel, she said, to do it that way. So that's why when I saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre in that scene, it's like, oh my God, like I can relate.
Forever
So
ruined. That's gonna
yeah,
be forever ruined.
yeah,
Oh man, that's awful.
yeah. Because my grandfather couldn't do it, so my grandmother's like, "Get out of the way, fucking smack, smack, smack." My dad told me that story, and I was like, "Wow, grandma's fucking
it's
vicious."
black metal, dude. Like
Yeah,
yeah,
man,
she's like Norwegian.
I ain't fucking with grandma. The second death on mine isn't really a key. It isn't really a kill. It's more of a death. Is in Hereditary, where the little sister needs her ibuprofen and he's racing home, and you think like,
Oh,
oh, like just the build up, the intensity of the scene, him freaking out, feeling guilty about her not paying attention, eating the cake, that build up to the scene where he's driving, stick your head out so you can get some fresh air and maybe breathe a little better. Then, how does the scene work? He swerves for some reason and
She hits the telephone pole.
Muck hits the telephone pole and rips her head right off. When I saw that, that was like, and the way that was built up and just it, I was like, fuck. That really, like, that was a scene that really, like, got me, like, in the gut, where I was like, fuck. It, because it's an emotional one too. Like, it builds up that emotion. Like, the way they built it up, it makes you feel it in your gut. 3 is a classic, all-time classic, is the Day of the Dead, the classic that's been redone a million of times, is the guts, the stomach ripping out the guts and everything. Captain Rhodes' death has been redone in multiple movies. It's like iconic.
The Dead. That does it really well.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, like that's awesome. Scanners is my 4th one. That's another classic one, the head blowing up. Like, anytime you see, like, stuff like that, it's always visually impressive. Number 5. And I was debating between this one. It's a Nightmare on Elm Street, or I think, is it part 3 or 4, where he gets sucked into the bed and all the blood comes flying out of the bed after?
Part 1.
The first. Johnny Depp.
That's Johnny Depp. That's how Johnny Depp
That's Johnny Depp?
Yeah.
I thought, okay, I didn't know if I should... It was tied between that one.
Yeah, he's watching the Miss Universe concert
Okay.
competition with his headphone on, and honey, how you're not going to hear what she has to say? Mom, who cares what she has to say?
It was either that one but I went with the first one, Tina's death in like
when she gets dragged across the ceiling.
Yeah, that was good. I was like, that is such, and she sold it. Like, like, it was great. It was, and I was so young when I saw that too. It was like, what the fuck? And I find when it's more ominous, like, not like you said, like Melissa, like Mel alluded to before, when it's a physical presence where you're like, I could just run away. As long as I have good cardio and I just keep running, I could get away. But when it's something that you can't escape, like an ominous threat where no matter where you go, where you turn, it's there. It's omnipresent everywhere. You can't get away from it. I find that's more scary than anything for me. So
hi, Fred.
So,
yeah.
Oh, I didn't get to watch the end of the game, so I don't know who won. I don't know if I owe him $20 or not. So
that's why he's here. He's here to collect.
Yeah.
The Bears lost. You got to pay up.
Yeah. Then, Freddy actually always scared me more than any other slasher because, just like you said, he's funny, he's campy, he's the only one that talks out of the top 3. But then it's like you can't escape him.
No.
I mean,
you're going to fall asleep eventually. Yeah, exactly.
You have to, or you're going to die one way or another.
Yeah.
And so just because of that, he was always just so scary to me.
Yeah. Number 6 on my list is a campy one that I could have picked a few from this franchise, is the Critters, where they form the giant ball and they run over the guy and then he's just like a skeleton after they roll over him. I always thought that was not scary or anything, just funny and campy. I really enjoyed that one. And just them forming a giant ball is just so ridiculous, rolling around, just chewing things as they roll, like just like a buzzsaw. I just love that scene. It was great. Then number 7 is Hellraiser. Just the tearing of the flesh with the hooks and the chains. And
Jesus. As
a kid, that one always got me. It's brutal and it's intense. So that one's there. Number 8 is just this franchise has so many elaborate deaths in it, is the Final Destination franchise. And I always loved, there's so many elaborate ones, but I found one of the best ones that wasn't as far-fetched was the highway.
The wreck in the beginning of part 2, yeah.
Yeah, the wreck. It's so realistic because this could actually happen. And on a highway at high speeds like that, so many people get involved in these car wrecks. So it felt like a very real, plausible, like out of all the Final Destinations, like that felt like one of the most real scenarios in that movie. So I really love that one. After that, my last 2, this is where it'll be debatable whether you could count it as a horror movie death or not, is in 7. You don't see the death, but they sell it as the blade dildo. Like, that scene just, it gets your imagination going. And the guy, I think he was from, what was the movie? He played in a show. and I can't remember what it was, but he sells it so good. And I don't know, just that scene with him wearing that contraption, just I was like, oh man, like that's brutal. That has to be such a brutal way to die. And you get two victims in it because the person who's doing it is forced to do it. So he's done. Like if he doesn't commit suicide, that guy is not living a normal life for the rest of his life. Like his life is ruined. And number 10 is RoboCop, the acid where he gets
Oh
falls in
God,
the acid, then he gets hit by the car.
yeah. With
That
Neil's death, yeah, that traumatized me as a kid, dude.
that
Like,
Yeah.
that that death is all time probably one of the deaths that will stick with me till the day I die. Like, it's
I,
just him coming out of the acid and walking around and all melted is so off-putting and scary. But then when the car hits him and he just kind of like explodes, except for his head, his whole body just kind of bursts into like, I don't know. It was that in RoboCop, man, that was, yeah,
yeah, people melting freaked me out when I was a kid, like that, and like
yeah,
there was a scene in The Gate where I think the dad melted, like it was like a
mhm.
"You've been
Yeah,
bad," yeah.
yeah, me too. Like the melting shit, I have a hard
Roger
time with that.
Rabbit.
Yeah.
The
Oh yes,
shoe.
at the end.
Oh,
Yes,
he's like, no,
that's true.
he's
Yeah.
dipping the shoe. Oh my God. I can't watch that scene to this day. Like, I
It
have
is,
to
and that's a
skip it.
kids. That's kind of like a kids movie
It
too, isn't it?
traumatized me.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
That is kind of wow. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with you. Yeah, so that's my list. Mm,
It's a good list.
mm, thanks.
So, comic horror characters.
Yes.
Okay. I will kick it off first. I have to talk about Elvira because she has a few different series, but right now, the Elvira in Horrorland is just so funny. It's super meta. She's like traveling like to like different horror movies, and she's like breaking the fourth wall kind of, but it's so funny. I'm loving it, so I had to put her on my list. Plus, it's Elvira. Second is Constantine. Do you say Constantine or Teen?
You're supposed to call him Constantine. That's the way it was originally. But
Constantine.
like everybody's called him John Constantine, the Hellblazer. So like if you're talking about like the Keanu Reeves or like any of the Americanized versions, it's Constantine. But like for some reason in Sandman with the girl version, they decided to go with Constantine, which is the original
Yeah.
pronunciation. But from what I know, Jamie Delano, the original writer, and Alan Moore are the only people that actually refer to him as Constantine. Everybody else calls him Constantine.
Yeah, because I've always called him that. And then in one of them, he's like, it rhymes with, and I can't remember what he made it rhyme with. And I kept reading it. I'm like, does it rhyme?
Yeah,
Like,
when he
I
tells
don't
the
get
girls
it.
that he's Paul McCartney's nephew or whatever, yeah, it toin, it
Yeah.
rhymes with wind or something like that. Yeah,
Yes, yes, that's the one. I was like, no, it doesn't. I just kept rereading it.
there's a deity in a
So,
wind, dude. What are you talking about?
yeah. So, I mean, such an iconic character, so dark as we were talking about earlier. And yeah, I just freaking love him. And next, of course, is Think, Mr. Dig. I love Mr. Dig, and I love everything John Lees has done with him. I love the one-off that he has done. I backed him out on Kickstarter as soon as I could, and I have a poster on my wall signed. I have comics signed, but I love that character, and I love the vigilante. But I love his backstory and his family and just everything. So yeah. Um, the next one is also a John Lees, and that is Hotel. I love the clown in the
Mm.
lobby.
Like
The
Piero?
changing clown scares the hell out of me. So he had to make my list. The next one is also from Constantine. I'll never say that right. But that's Map. So Map is a
Yeah.
character who, he's like the super powerful magician, but he like works like underground, like cleaning up the subway in London, pretty much. Like that's what he wants to do. Like he wants to live like a quiet, peaceful life. But like here comes John all the time, just fucking up his whole world. And then when he gets mad, like he gets really scary. And I love all sides of that character, and I always want to see more of him. So the next one, I was debating on how to pronounce this one, but I'm going to go with Anansi from Philadelphia. So
Mhm.
he is the spider god from Philadelphia, and every time he comes up, I love what he does, and I love what he stands for, and he has some really great dialogue within that series. Next is also Philadelphia, and that's Seesaw, And I've really loved the evolution of his character from the first time we saw him to what he is now. That he's just another one that he's just so great every time he comes in. Uh, Next is another John Lee's that's going to be Sync 10. And that's the couple, Louise and
Oh,
Kieran.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, they freaking take down someone with a giant bumblebee dildo. Like, that is amazing. And,
Isn't it a butt plug?
or
They
it vibrates, so
it could go in either, but like it ends up
it
in
ends
the
up
rump
there.
of of a
Okay, a
certain gang
toy.
member. Yeah.
Use at your own
Sex toy. Yeah,
discretion.
that's it.
Vibrating toy. Use it. I think it's like this big.
Yeah.
Hey,
And I love them because they're just like two like broken characters and they come together so awkwardly and it's just, the night goes the way it does, but I love them. Next is Sabrina because I just adore Sabrina. I adore Sabrina and Archie. With Archie, I adore Sabrina in Riverdale comics and then on her own. But I really like the Chilling Adventures on her
Yeah.
okay, that's what I was going to ask you. Have you read The Chilling? Because that is
Yes.
dark shit,
That's
man.
actually
that is some
what.
dark.
Yeah.
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 Like if
I
people
love
think
like the
Sabrina's
lighter
like,
version, but I love that.
yeah, if people think
Yeah.
Sabrina, oh, it's too. Go read The Chilling Adventures of
Yeah.
Sabrina. You won't think it's all like, haha, funny, fun, light,
Yeah.
teeny bopper stuff because it's dark.
Yes.
And it tackles
And
some really dark like subject matter too. Like,
yeah. I mean,
oof.
the show did too. The show
To a
went
certain
darker
point,
than I
yeah,
think
yeah.
people expected, but I really like the comics, so
Mm-hmm.
I had to put her in there. And then my last one
Yeah, fantastic.
is Ash, which is just, one of my very first horror comics that I read as an adult was actually because I took a long hiatus from reading comics, but it
Mm-hmm.
was Freddy versus Jason versus Ash, and I own it, and I know now it's like out of print and stuff, but I own that, and it's one that I love to go back and revisit. And every time I do, it's Ash that really,
Stands out.
stands out for me. And then I have a lot of his Dynamite stuff too, so I had to go with Ash on that one.
Nice.
He almost made my characters list, but I put him on that instead.
Yeah, yeah. He's a fantastic character. You can do a lot
Yes.
with him. Like he's versatile.
Yes. I know, Matt. I almost said Swamp Thing, and I didn't because
Swamp Thing's too hot topic.
Well, I was like, I know like it gets like horror, but like there's a lot of things that can get horror, even like Batman can get horror. But I don't know. I almost put Swamp Thing and then I didn't. I just went with John instead.
There you
Thanks for
go.
calling me out.
It's all right. You don't have to justify yourself to that guy.
I don't even know him.
Yeah. I don't even know what he's doing in the chats. Jesus.
Getting paid at work.
Yeah, that's it. Getting paid to watch us talk about nonsense on a live stream on YouTube.
I know, I suck. I know.
All right, Johnny, what you got, man?
All right. First up, I got Vulture from Coffin Bound. I just love the character design, and I just like the idea of something that comes around and messes with you when you're about to die. Won't exactly tell you what's going to happen, but like he sure wants you to do something about it. I kind of like the ambiguity of the character. It really kind of fills in the nihilism of the book perfectly, which one of my favorites of the past few years. All right. Next up, I have Kaiman from Dorohedoro. It's one of my favorite mangas. He is a man with a lizard's head, and he's got like these spikes that come out of the back of it, and he hunts down and kills magicians, wizards. He's really badass. Next up, I have Mary, Queen of Blood from I, Vampire. Probably the greatest DC comic you never hear anybody talk about, but it's really, really good. Next up, I have Cassidy the Vampire from Preacher. Probably one of the most lovable characters from any comic book ever. If you're a Constantine fan, you will probably really love Cassidy. A lot of the same energies.
Yeah. From the
Okay.
same. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, from a guy that's really known for
Worked on it. Yeah, he worked on it. Yeah, exactly. So it's only
the same team too.
only
Him and
makes
Steve
sense.
Dillon.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it only makes sense. It gives off those vibes. Yeah.
Next up, I have Chastity the Vampire from Chaos Comics fame. She's a punk rock vampire that slays other vampires and other monsters. She's really cool. Got red, kind of bobbed haircut.
Have you, if you like that character, you might want to pick up the Icarus cult
That's
because
they did that Kickstarter, right? The Lady Mayhem, or
yeah, same creator, yeah, same creator. So you'd probably enjoy that because it's got a character that's probably inspired by that character in it, which you'd probably dig. So you should probably pick that up when the trade comes out. You'll probably like that.
okay, cool. Next up, I have, of course, Mr. Dig. How can I not? Like, he is
Yay.
by far like one of the coolest creations like to ever come out. And yeah, pretty much everything that Mel said, like his look, his family, his building, like everything he's got going for him is just so gangster. Plus, that one shot like that John just put out where he fights the ghoster, so badass.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Next up, I have Simon Dark, which is another DC horror comic that Steve Niles wrote with art by Scott Hampton. Really, really fun, kind of Frankenstein monster meets, Oliver Twist type orphan
Hmm.
tale. Really, really cool, fun
Hmm.
superhero stuff.
Yeah.
Um, Third to last, I have, of course, John Constantine, the Hellblazer himself. How can I not? I've almost read as much of his books as Fulci has, but not quite. But I've read like the main run of all of his shit. So
Hmm.
after that, I have Evil Ernie, which is one of my favorites from the '90s. It's total good trash slasher comics. The Dynamite stuff, it's okay, but nowhere near as good as the
Chaos.
classic
Yeah.
the chaos stuff. And then last but surely not least, Hellboy, probably one of my most read universes of any comics thing
Hmm.
ever. So I've read so much Hellboy and BPRD stuff, it's not even funny, and I absolutely adore that universe.
Nice.
Good
Nice.
list.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna go with the Smiling Man from at the top of my list from Gideon Falls.
Nice.
Uh, I think he's a great character, and like we touched before, I find, especially in comics, because you can't do jump scares like in movies and stuff. So I think the most effective horror characters are the ones that give off uh, a vibe or a tone, or like give
Well, the way
a mood. Like
Sorrentino
set the
draws them
mood,
is
right? You got
so.
to set the mood, right? It sets a mood where yeah, it's uneasy. You don't know, like you can't rely on the jump scare, so you really got to rely on mood and feeling. And I find with this series, with the Smiling Man, the the ominousness of him. He's just there, and you don't know what he can do or can't do. He's lurking, like, and I just think it's super effective. And number two on my list kind of gives off. It's very similar to that is Red Mother from the Red Mother comics by Jeremy Hunn. Same idea, like shows up. The character in there gets an
Yeah, Danny
loses
Locke's
her eye.
art is so good.
Yeah, and then when she gets the eye, she starts seeing these things and these creatures and stuff. So I think that's a great one. Uh, Third on my list is Severed, the traveling salesman. I think he's a great character. Definitely the vibe in that too, like the old, what is it, in the 40s probably that takes place. It's wonder like a cannibal in the 40s
I
when
would say it was the 1920s, man. The during the
20s even. You
Depression.
think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like back then, it's not like today. Like you don't have cops. There's so much vast space that's not, like it could easily happen, like where a person could just go traveling and pick people up and peck them off so easily compared to today with the information how you can share it. Like someone could go like 20 years of doing stuff like that and never get caught because so that was a great character. I thought was really well done. Number four, I'm going to go with Nimble Jack from the series Colder.
Cool.
uh, he's definitely a character, like kind of like Freddy and all that. He's definitely a bigger than life type character that's he's got a lot of personality and really weird and quirky, and he's got that creepy edge to him, which is really fun. He's a fun character, definitely carries that story. Then on number five, I'm going to go with like you, Johnny. I have Evil Ernie. Like, I didn't even read his comics as a kid, but I knew who he was. Like, that's how kind of iconic of an indie comic character he was. That pin he wore with the evil, like you saw it everywhere, right? Like if
Smiley.
you're in, yeah, Smiley, like he's such an iconic looking character from back then. I have to put him on the list because even if you don't know who are familiar with the comics, you kind of know who he is just from reputation. Uh, then I'm gonna go with Zoe from Terry Moore's series, Rachel Rising and Serial. She's a little like devil reincarnated into a person demon type creature where anyway it's kind of cool. Like she's a little girl but like a killer trapped in a little girl's body kind of thing, and she's such a great character and fun to read. So if you ever go pick up Rachel Rising or Serial, and I'm sure you'll enjoy this character. She's a lot of fun. Then I'm gonna go with Harry from Maniac of New York. um I wasn't sold on this series from the first run, but the second arc, then I was sold. Like I love this series, and Harry is just like a constant, like a machine. He's there, kind of. It's basically Jason, but in comic form. Like if you enjoy Jason Friday the 13th, and you feel like he's never gotten a proper adaptation as a comic book, then go pick up Maniac of New York. I think it does. If you like Friday the 13th, this is a perfect adaptation of what Friday the 13th a comic should be, is Maniac of New York. So he's a great character there. Number 8, this is where we might get into a bit of a debate. I'm going to go with the Coin from Silver Coin. It's not necessarily a character, but it's the one common thread throughout all the, it's the Coin almost has a life of its own. It's almost a character of its own without actually physically doing anything. It's presence. It just whatever it does, right? It's so powerful, and I think it's such an effective piece to that story, and I love the way they do it for that series. So the Coin from Silver Coin. Number 9, I'm going to go with something fun and campy, and is Hack and Slash. Those characters are fun. Like if you just want a fun
Cassie
campy,
and Vlad.
Yeah, Hack and Slash, Cassie and Vlad, man.
Hi, Sergio.
Yeah, it's a great series. If you want campy, fun, kind of like horror comedy type stuff, then Hack and Slash will fit the bill for you. You'll enjoy it. And number 10 on my list is going to be Louis Thorne from Faithless, the father. I think he's a fantastic character from Faithless. Definitely gives off that kind of, doesn't really say he's the devil, but the way they characterized him, and it kind of makes me think a little bit of Devil's Advocate. What's his name? Al Pacino. From Devil's. Like he definitely, the way they play him out and the way they develop that character, he's kind of like that calm, suave, but you never really know. Like See,
I see him more as Rob Lowe.
Rob Lowe, yeah. I don't know, just the way
than Al Pacino.
No, but I meant the character, not the look. Like the way he plays the character, how he can be so charming and seduce you, even though like this probably isn't a good idea, but he's just got like that spell, that allure that you just can't resist, right? The way they develop his character in the story, which is really cool. So he's my number 10. Yeah.
Good shit.
It's a good list. I've been saying for so long that I'm going to read Maniac, and I have not. I just need to, and I need to catch up on Silver Coin because I'm really behind on that one, and I loved it from what I've already read. I think I've read like the first 7, so I need to catch up on that. So
I got to read the end of Gideon Falls personally, since Joey brought that up. It's been a while since I checked in on that.
Yeah, I like those type of characters, like not the direct threat, kind of off in the distance where their presence or their influence is felt. I love that kind of stuff.
Well, it's a good list. Y'all have some good ones, and I knew that your horror comic one would be like way more.
Yours was legit though.
Mine, but yeah. But I'm glad that Dig also made yours, Johnny, because I mean, I knew much about it.
I knew you guys would have some John Lees, so I was like, I'll leave some John. Well, I almost put what's the character's name from Emily Was Gone?
Oh,
the Bonnie Swanner.
Yeah, the Bonnie Sweeney or whatever. Sweeney Boone, I think, or whatever. Yeah. I almost put that because I thought that was cool. Yeah, like every.
It was like a '90s like MTV or like Adult Swim, like after hours
Yeah.
cartoon style. I don't know, but yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, the meat fat factory, man, just with
Yeah.
the yeah, like
Ugh.
that's just off-putting. Like I wonder if Ian Laurie is a vegan or not. Like after seeing that scene, I'm thinking maybe he might be.
I have no idea. He never posts any food pics or anything. He only posts he posts a lot of movie stuff. He watches a lot of TV and movies anyway. Yeah. He didn't like the end to the Midnight Club. He's one of the guys who didn't like the end of it. He liked it all right up till the end, and they played that Green Day song. And he was like, he hates pop punk. So I think anytime pop punk comes up, he's like, this is fucking garbage.
Well, what Green Day did they play? It really depends
Yeah,
on
I
like
don't know.
what
I
Green
haven't-
Day song
Curious
and what.
too.
I haven't seen. I think I'm only 4 episodes in, so
Now if they play like Boulevard of Broken Dreams or something like that, I'd be like, yeah, this is some bullshit and turn it off.
Oh,
But
probably something like Basket Case. I mean, if it's the '90s, if it's '94.
oh, okay, that's
When
right.
did that? When did that album come out? Like around then, because I bought it
Yeah.
in '96 or '7. So
yeah, probably 94 because I didn't graduate
Yeah.
and it was already out. So yeah,
I was like in 4th or 5th grade when Dookie came out. Yeah.
because it came out right before I graduated, so it was right about then, 94,
yeah,
93, 94. Yeah.
I bought it like after it came out, but yeah, it was one of my first CDs I ever bought. That and Oasis, Wonderwall.
Yeah.
But that was only because there was a boy in 7th grade who liked it, and I was like, "Oh, I own it. I'm gonna let you borrow it." And then I begged my mom to take me to Walmart so I could buy it, so I could loan it to him. And then the asshole gave it to me scratched, and I had to rebuy it. And I was so mad.
Oh, he screwed up your copy of What's the Story, Morning Glory. Like that's like one of the
Yep.
few. Like I'm not a huge Oasis fan, but I wouldn't give you shit for owning that album because it's actually pretty good.
It's good. Yeah, that's the only one I've ever owned too.
Except for that song Champagne Supernova. That song is too long and it has the same lyrics over and over and again, but that's the only song on that album that I dislike.
But when it starts, it's like, oh, this is so good. But then, yeah, like after a little bit, you're like, okay.
Does this need to be an 18-minute song? Like,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
the hell?
It was cool for the first 4 minutes, but for the last 10,
Yeah, but also fuck you, Corey, wherever you are today.
Corey!
I'll be in my head forever. So, yeah.
Scratching up our damn fucking Oasis CDs, man.
Spent my
Corey.
babysitting money on that. You give it to me like shit. So
there. So I think we did pretty good because we
Yeah, I
had
like
a
this
long check-in, and I think we went through that list pretty smoothly. And
we're just
Yeah.
at 2 hours, even talking
Great.
for 40 minutes about Joe Hill and Stephen King. So
Oh, hey,
yeah,
wait.
exactly.
My parents
What?
just came in. They want to have the Grim Cuddy talk with me. They're gonna take my phone away. They're
Fucking
fascists.
fascist.
Fascist.
They're gonna put it in the detox box.
Oh my god, I was trying to remember when we were talking about what the fuck that box was called. It was so
The
stupid.
detox box.
And then when she walks in on that woman and she's like, "Where's your phone?" She's like, "The detox box." Like,
Bitch, yeah.
and
My
then the
parents
woman's
read your
just like,
blog.
okay, like, yeah, my parents read your blog, so I just can't. I can't. Oh,
Fucking
God.
Grim Cuddy, man.
I wonder if younger kids like relate to that movie, or
No, I don't
don't
think
know.
anybody does. I think it's gonna go down as I mean, it's good for trash, but I mean, like, for it trying to be so hard to be relevant, it's
Bye,
just
Matt. See you later. Have fun at work. All right, I guess
Yeah.
you're almost out, but
Yeah, he's got maybe an hour left, half an hour left.
yeah, no, that was.
Mm.
I mean, Hulu, whenever they put out their, because every year they do like their Halloween offerings, and then they partnered up with Blumhouse to do all of those originals for like a year. Remember the holiday originals?
Yeah,
that they
like
kept putting out?
Puka and
Yeah.
all those. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like I watched all of those, and they're just so hit and miss. It's unreal. Like it's just night and day hit and miss. But Hulu originals, it's like Netflix. It's like
Yeah.
some of their stuff, you're just it's
Well,
too much.
I mean, Yeah, well, I mean, it was due. I mean, Hellraiser, I would have liked it to be a little kinkier, a little freakier, but I liked that they did it about drugs this time. I mean, like, they did change it up a little bit, and, like, drugs are a sensation, and, like, sex isn't the only thing. So I get what they were trying to do with that, and I did like the Hellraiser movie. I liked Prey a lot, but then, yeah, they really dropped the ball on Grim Cuddy. Like,
Grim God, you compare it to Prey and fucking Hellraiser.
well, it's the only other horror movies they put out recently, and those both rocked, and then,
Yeah.
They did Fresh
Flash.
this year. That came
Fresh,
out.
yeah. Fresh was
yeah,
good. I enjoyed Fresh.
Man,
it was
I'm
interesting. Like, I'll
I'm
give it
so
that.
torn on that one. Like, I don't know. I I don't know. Like that one I didn't even review because I sat down and I'm like, I don't know what to say about this. Like, I don't know how I
Mhm.
feel about it.
I bet
Yeah.
Goose loved it though. It's about a dude that eats chicks, so like I bet you Goose was all about
I'm
it.
surprised it
Does
didn't make his list
does he
last
do
week.
that? Oh, because his last time his whole cannibal. I was like,
Yeah.
wait, does he eat? What?
What did he
Yeah,
have as F? Let's see. Do I have the list here still?
I think he had
Ah,
Feast
shit.
actually.
Did he?
Yeah, I think he had
Let's see.
Feast.
Garbage. Hey,
Uh,
Sergio, did you like those
no, he had
dance scenes?
Friday the
Were those
13th.
good?
Jason Takes Manhattan. That's what he had.
Oh,
Oh
that's
yeah,
right. He
those
had
are
the
good.
worst one. Like,
Yeah.
Even
But it's. I
Jason
think it's.
Takes Manhattan.
Yeah. Well, I think it's because he went and saw it with his dad. It was one of the first
I thought it was
Friday.
actually a cute one. I like that
Mm,
movie. So
yeah.
I went to a double feature one time of Muppets, Take Manhattan, and Jason Takes Manhattan. It was at Alamo. They did a double feature of it back to back, and it was like just a great night. But by the time we got to the end of Friday the 13th, I was like done. Like by the time he's like in the sewers and stuff, I'd been sitting there for so long that I was just like, dude, like, come on, come on, come on.
waka waka waka.
Nothing redeeming. That's what I said about Halloween Ends as well, for what it's worth. So
There was, dude, the
yeah,
dance scene in Fresh was pretty redeeming. All right, like I don't know
that
why.
was ridiculous.
I'm convinced that whoever made that movie really liked the movie Ex Machina by Alex Garland, but wanted to make that movie about cannibals instead of robots. Like, because if you notice, like, it's got a lot of the same similarities about
hmm
people trying to make another person doubt their mental health, and
hmm Yeah.
then the
Yeah,
weird dance scene in it. Like, but I like the dancing in Ex Machina a little better than the one in Fresh. But
I mean, like when they got to the title in the middle of the movie,
Yeah. That
at
was.
first I was like, "What is this?" But then I was like, "Okay, I kind of like that." Like it was just kind of it was new, it was different, and
Yeah.
um, I don't know. I don't think I disliked it as much as Sergio apparently did, but I don't know if I'd sit down and watch it again. So
Oh, I definitely wouldn't watch it again. But it
yeah,
wasn't. It wasn't like trying to get through Grim Cuddy.
no.
no, like Fresh was watchable. The end was just so dumb. Like the last half hour of it, like after he gets his
Yeah.
dick bit off, it's like, how is he still running around? Like,
Yeah.
Well, and she's like, she's had her like ass eaten off. And
Yeah.
like she's like getting up and stuff. But I did like Elle's point on the last show where it's like he picks someone who's, 90 pounds to eat.
Yeah.
And it's like choose someone with some if you're gonna eat that part,
But
like
not just that, he sleeps with her too. So like, that's kind of fucked up.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I
but
don't know.
after every single time I saw her move after she had her ass eaten, I cringed because I'm like, oh my God, like what is she feeling right now? Like what would that feel like to just not have an ass anymore? Like what's gonna, how's it gonna be like the rest of her life, like sitting like on like a hard like stadium chair or something? Like you have to take a
Yeah.
donut with you. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah. You
sounds
probably would.
awful. Yeah. I thought way too hard about it though. I admit that. I was like focused on that during the movie. So
yeah, that's like I blew all that with Malignant last year. Like I thought too hard about that film, and like it never bore any fruit. So like I kind of just let Fresh go. But
yeah.
I I just didn't know what Sebastian Stan was trying to do with this character. Was like, did you find him scary at all? Like menacing or intimidating or
Well,
in any kind of
I
way?
I mean, I found him like creepy, and the reason I found him creepy is because it is like a very real thing that you meet somebody that seems great, but it's like you don't go away with someone for like the first You know, like after you, like the first hour that you meet them,
Yeah.
you don't go away to like the middle of nowhere or anything.
And
But
it's a surprise.
you
Usually,
know,
surprise vacations are after you've been with someone for a while.
yeah,
Like it's
yeah,
after you've established a relationship. Your
yeah.
first travel vacation or first travel date shouldn't really be a surprise.
And you should like
Yeah.
meet each other there. You know what I mean? Don't take his car.
Yeah.
Like the first weekend that you know him, like,
Yeah.
you know, but I mean that part, like, you know, they did the gaslighting really well and stuff like that, like in the beginning, and you know, all the lying and setting up to be like the perfect guy. But as far as like anything else goes, no, it wasn't. I didn't find like him scary or anything or menacing, and he actually looked really little in the whole movie. I kept noticing because you know he's Bucky, and you're watching this, and he looks like this big, like his weight, like he just looks so tiny.
Mhm.
But I don't know. But when they ate the boob, I it like hurt to watch that part. Like I just, ugh, yeah, that part got me. I'll admit. So
Mhm.
anyway,
Yeah,
last
it's
episode
definitely.
or on House of Nerd, we talk about that the witches part with the needle in, the lady sticking the needle in, and this time we talk about that. I guess that's like a
Mm.
common theme right now. But yeah,
Yeah, that movie's definitely scenes that are hard to stomach in that movie. No pun
yeah,
intended. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Anyway, they can't all be winners, right?
No, they can. They always got to have a Grim Cuddy somewhere in there.
They can't all make the top 100 or the top tens. Otherwise, we wouldn't have
Nope,
shows like this with top 10 lists.
it's true.
Well, I guess we'll wrap it up. Let the folks get to what they need to do, and we've kept them here long enough, I think. So thanks for coming on, Mel. Always
Yes.
a pleasure, always a blast. So we always appreciate you coming on the show.
I love
And
to. So thank you for having me, especially for this one. This was a fun one, making my list. I had to really like rack my brain. Like it was harder than it should have been because I literally could not think of like a single death for a while. But it was actually fun to go through it. So
yeah,
thank you.
yeah, definitely. The initial first few picks, you're like, oh, this is gonna be easy. And you're like, oh shit, I gotta get 10. So
When you
after
get to
like
like
5 or
six,
6, you're
that's
like,
where it was. Yeah.
then you're like, oh shit, what do I put now? And yeah,
Hmm.
start to overthink it, and yeah.
Yeah. Same. But no, thank you guys. It's always fun to talk to y'all.
For real. And anybody still watching, man, like if you need something to do this weekend, watch Werewolf by Night. So good. Best thing the MCU's put out in a long
Well,
time.
since Disney Plus has been up,
Yeah, definitely the best
Mhm.
Disney Plus thing that
Very
they
good.
did.
yeah.
Yep.
Nope. Nope.
I've seen Nope.
I'm gonna try to watch that as soon as possible because everyone
Good night,
says good things
Sergio.
about it.
Oh, it's
See you,
so
sir.
good.
So good night, everybody.
Take it easy, y'all.
Have a good weekend.
Bye.